with other people's money,
Okay,
or partnering with the National Real Estate Network to get your advantage fund. Plus, learn how to get their new groundbreaking tax lien investing kit for free. That'll show you how to earn government-secured returns up to...
You don't go to El Paso, do you?
And how to buy
Oh, you can do. You don't really have to ever go to court, do you? I mean, very. Yeah. So you could do... Well, they still got to meet with you, though, so that's the hard part. Get people from Colorado Springs to come down to you. Or Pueblo, for that matter.
I do get people who come up, and I have people who come down from Fort Collins. I have people who come out from Fort Morgan. And, you know, I tell them, would you like me to find somebody for you so you don't have to drive to that far? And they're like, no, we're going to come. Okay.
That's cool.
To avoid. Tune into America's Wealth Management Show this Saturday at noon on
That's a long drive.
Visit lifecertain.com.
Colorado, I can get down to KRDO, which is our station down there. I can be there in 45 minutes, but I'm leaving right after the show, so traffic is nothing. But I got to tell you this, man. You get into traffic time, oh, forget about it.
We got rid of upcharges. By owning the factory and cutting out the middleman, we're able to sell our high.
They've got worse traffic than we do.
Oh, Colorado Springs? And they redid the road, and it's still...
Oh, wait, why?
What are you talking about?
How bad the traffic is for a little town.
I-25 as it goes through Colorado Springs and north.
It's screwed up.
Oh.
As a special offer for radio listeners, get an $18 shave set with an added bonus.
Yeah.
When you visit
Try coming back from a weekend or something and come north on
It's like 70.
I-25. Yeah.
During ski season.
Just bumper to bumper.
I'm surprised, like that little town, Manitou Springs. Oh my God, that place can be so packed. It's crazy.
This is a cute little town.
It is.
This is the Troubleshooter Show.
I need somebody.
Now, Tom Martino, the Troubleshooter.
Help me if you can, I'm feeling.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter, and I welcome you to the show where we are solving problems each and every day. Solving problems, answering questions, taking complaints. It's the only place really in radio where you can unload. You can just talk about anything you want. Problems, questions, and complaints. I'd like you to give me a call if something is on your mind. If you think we can make a phone call for you and make it better, or research something, or maybe get attorneys involved. We have also accountants available. We have roofing experts available, flooring experts available. We have experts in every line of work practically because we've been doing it for so long, nearly 40 years on radio in Denver and TV, of course, in the earlier years, up till about 7 years ago. We also have a lot of information online at troubleshooter.com where you can see the show live, and referralist.com, which is a listing of all of our dependable, trustworthy sponsors. Referralist.com. Listen, if you have a problem, call us, 303-713-TALK. That works during the show. 303 Martino works 24/7. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on iHeartRadio. You can download us, and of course we're live on our radio station, 630 KHOW in Denver, KRDO radio in Colorado Springs.
So welcome one and all. David Salisbury is with us today. He comes from the Referral List. He's with David Salisbury Law, his law firm, where they do estates and trusts and probate, estate planning, wills, similar documents, beneficiaries' deeds, whatever you need to pass on what you have in this life, or to deal with someone's sudden death or disbursement of items through a will. And I said in my tease for this show, what does every will need? We're going to go through that. So by the end of the show, you're going to be able to write your own will if you wanted to. Now, there are many times that's a bad idea, but at least we can tell you what should be in a will. Now, I recommend, and I'm going to ask David if he agrees, the very first thing is a date. Do you think people need a date on their will? I think you need to date it. David? Obvious?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, especially if you have other wills, because you need to establish
What is the most recent will?
Okay. A date. Now keep listening, and we'll go through all of the elements. 303-713-TALK. Beverly has a comment on the shooting in Vegas. Not sure where we're going with it. Go ahead, Beverly.
Oh, yes. Tom, I called the other day, and you said you were going to put me on hold.
I'm sorry.
I think the program was, no, that's okay.
What's going on? What was your comment?
Oh, okay, my comment is this. I talked about people knowing at Sandy Hook, at the shooting at all the shootings. Someone knew about it, but it's in a very difficult situation if you're that party who knows something and doesn't have anywhere to go with it. And this shooter in Las Vegas, if the information the FBI gave on the interview, this man was struggling with a higher power. He was asking God to forgive him. He was asking God to help him. So it's obvious that he wasn't ISIS. But there needs to be a way that people can reach for help that are in a difficult situation. I go back to the point of the gentleman.
I think the point you made is that we don't take mental illness seriously enough.
That's what I mentioned. And people who know something need to have responsibility to get help from someone.
I don't think anybody knew. His brother didn't know. His wife didn't know. This guy wasn't seeking for help.
They knew he was troubled, I think.
I don't know if they did or not.
Well, you know, if I had someone in my household that was writhing and screaming and asking God to help him, and started that about 6 months ago. I'm not blaming his housemate or his girlfriend, but we live in a society where we're not dealing with flesh and blood, but we're dealing with principalities. And we have an obligation somehow to be able to call 911, and with a particular word, and it can be done immediately, get help from someone.
Well, Beverly, mental illness is a tough thing to even judge. I mean, if people are going through a depressed time or they're going through a rough time, who's to say it's mental illness or just depression? Or how do we know when it becomes dangerous? How do we know?
Well, I think when you're living with someone, if you're living with
someone, okay, and they're struggling with God, and they're yelling, and as you say, they're squirming and writhing, and they're not normal. They're just really struggling. You don't call police and say my husband is screaming at God?
Well, I think when there's an unusual situation, like the young man whose father, and it's a very difficult situation with people that you love. But
I think it's weird. When do you call the cops as opposed to a counselor? That's the weird part. I don't think it's clear cut. I don't think it's easy. That's why we struggle with it.
Exactly. But I think people should have the opportunity to feel free to call a number. 911 would be great.
No, I know. You're right. Maybe there should be something in between 911 and a priest. I mean, maybe there should be a number you call when you're concerned about somebody that could possibly do violence, but they haven't done it yet, and you don't want them arrested, but you just want you just want to make someone aware. Mark, let me ask you something seriously. Now, how many times, like in the office, we get mad? Although I've never heard these words. I have never heard these words in our office. I'm so mad I could kill him. I've never heard that. I've heard people say, I want to strangle him. You know, I've heard that kind of thing, but you know it's not true.
Yeah.
At what point do you start taking people seriously?
Well,
if you saw me on the computer, right, staking out a location where there was going to be a concert, and you saw me buying guns or ordering guns online, because, your cube is not too far from mine, and even though, I'm not talking to you about it, you kind of observe stuff like that. What if, okay, so you saw me planning that there was going to be this concert, and let's say before this happened, and I'm looking, and you see on my computer, I have like lines of sight from hotel room or something, and then you see me ordering some AKs or something. Yeah, really weird. It's just non-characteristic. what would you do? Really, what? And I'm serious.
Call a buddy of mine in the FBI?
You would.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
You wouldn't talk to me first and say, Tom, what's going on?
Are you kidding me? I wouldn't talk to anybody that's ordering AKs and has a concert picked out. What am I don't want to get killed.
But you would really, and then you would say, what should I do to your friend in the FBI?
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
What if you didn't have a friend in the FBI?
Then I'd call the cops. I would.
What would you say, though?
I'd say, hey, some nutcase is staking something out. You got to see this.
Okay. Right.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Well,
what would you do?
That's what I'm trying to
Now, maybe if it was your kid or your spouse, maybe something different. I mean, yeah, okay, something different. I don't know what.
If I saw you ordering guns, and I'm serious now, if you were ordering guns.
Well, yeah, but not just ordering a gun.
No, but I saw you ordering guns and then looking online.
Gotcha.
And you were talking about this, there's going to be a bunch of those liberal bastards at that concert, or started just making like comments. And you started saying, not saying anything threatening, but
just weird.
I know what I'd go to Suzanne. And I'd say, hey, Suzanne, is Mark acting weird to you, or do you know? I mean, I don't think I'd just call the cops. I don't think I would. I mean...
You painted a pretty grim picture. I'm watching you order guns. You have a venue staked out. You've got line of sight. I mean, you're already there.
When I say staked out, I say I'm looking online to, like, some plaza or somewhere where there's going to be a concert. You know, whether that's staked out, I just use that as my description.
What would you do, David?
But you see me looking at the public place. You don't know. You think I might want to pick a seat and go to the concert. I mean,
that's not the picture you painted.
But when do you put those together? No, the picture I painted was I'm doing all these things.
I'm calling the cops.
But they're not together. I'm ordering guns not at the same time. In other words, I'm not...
It's over a period of time.
Yeah.
But I'm putting together the puzzle. I'm calling the cops.
You think you can put together a puzzle like that?
God, couldn't you?
No, I don't know if I could. I'm not saying I could. I think when it actually happens, I think we're all too brave to look at hindsight, but I think when it actually happens...
I had a neighbor in Parker years ago. He was a cop, worked for Parker Police Department. Okay? I had a recording of him selling little kits that make, semi-automatic guns fully automatic.
Okay.
I had this recording. I'm not going to say how I got it, but his name was Scott Lacey. I called up the head of the police department in Parker, and I said, you need to come to my house right now and listen to something. Don't send a cop car, because it's got to do with one of your employees.
And what did he do?
He came over, and I played it for him, and I said, I made a copy of it, and I gave it to my buddy in the FBI. This needs to be fixed real quick.
What did he do?
What did who do?
The cop.
Well, he went after Scott, and about 2 weeks later, you remember what Scott did, Suzanne?
Did he kill himself?
He sure did.
He blew his head off, so the guy was 3 doors down. He was not only selling those kits, he was also bringing in silencers, apparently. This is a cop, so do I feel bad about this guy? No, the reason I bring this up is I put 2 and 2 together, and I did exactly what I just told you I'd do. I called the cops. It happened to be a cop, but... that's insane.
I don't think sometimes things are so black and white, though. If some guy is struggling with God, for example, and he's buying guns, it doesn't mean he's going to kill somebody. He sounds like a nutcase. I don't know.
David, I'm curious. What do you think?
Well, number one, as you're saying, where's that line?
I think
where it goes from being a mental illness to potential crime.
I think when it's out of characteristic, for example, that might have something to do with it.
this lady
like, for example,
up,
if you never have guns and all of a sudden I'm buying a bunch of guns, that could be weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
But this lady calls up, and I understand what she's saying, that there should be an outlet, a place you can call. You can't make people get help. You can't force them to get help.
But I could call and say, my neighbor's acting weird.
But I'm talking about somebody who's yelling at God.
You'd have every nutcase in the world calling on their neighbors.
But... okay, that's why I'm saying, when it comes right down to really doing it, do we really do it? I mean, we say that we would do it, but what circumstances would make us literally call the cops or the FBI about our neighbor? We got more coming up.
And how about if it was one of your kids?
Turn that down a little. That's the weird part. Then you're going to try to get psychological help.
Right.
I'm not going to go that far for a neighbor. I'm just not going to do it.
What would you do if you found out one of your kids
Mark, I remember when you
hit somebody with a car and killed them?
Would
you call the police on your kid?
You had a scanner.
Yeah, probably. Or, I don't know, I would seek a shrink's help and then try to figure out...
You also helped me get free satellite TV one time.
Man, I used to have
everything illegal you had.
I had...
You even had stuff that could turn the lights red.
So I literally had a strobe I made, and when I'm driving up to a red light, you hit it just like an ambulance back then, and it would turn it green. And I
remember everything he did.
I started thinking, holy shit, you know what? If I ever caused an accident with this, I'd be buried. They'd kill me. I mean, literally, I'd be facing manslaughter. Oh, and he was always right on board, so don't let this guy fool you. Hey, listen, can you make one of those cards for my DirecTV that's in my bus? Now, really, it's not stealing because I only use the bus occasionally.
I used it in my office, the one in my office. I didn't use it in my bus.
David, back in my day, so very early 20s, I would go up to these little mountain towns like Grand Lake, and I'd show up at the local bar, and I had this box, okay? It was called a J-Cube, and I could put it in the back of a Comcast box, or was it Comcast back then? Whoever it was. Yeah. It's before it was digital. It was an analog signal, and I'd hit this button, and it would reprogram the EEPROM, then I'd put a filter on it, and that box would get every single channel, pay-per-view, every single channel for 30 days. Right. So I would go up and then I'd have to redo it. So I'd have my own route. I'd go up once a month and stop in about 10 of these little towns. I'd charge everybody like $20, $25.
Except I got it free.
That's right. And I charge everybody shit. It was my own little cable route. It was my own cable company.
I think it was a satellite, though.
No. First it was there, then I learned how to do the satellite ones.
Facebook video isn't up yet. I'm gonna have
it is.
I'm gonna have John Fuller on for line 2. Then maybe I'm just not getting the notification.
Let me see.
Mine, I really had a good time. In March of this.
I'll tell you what amazed me. Do you remember that time you were at your house, I was at my house, and our houses, David, were probably 15 miles apart?
Yes.
And we had these little lasers this big. I had a T1 going into my house, which back then was like the fastest internet anybody had. And we were going to set up a microwave dish, but it had to be point of sight. So he gets up, and I get up.
This was so cool.
And within 10 seconds, we're looking at each other's, $10 laser pens 15 miles away. And I couldn't believe it.
We were so happy. We were talking on cell phones.
It was crazy.
But we could see. And when he shined it, you could see it on my deck. And when he pointed it right at you, you could see it.
I had no idea a laser was that powerful back then.
It was just a laser pen.
Yeah, a little cheap laser pen that you used for like a cat. God, that was nuts.
Yeah, it was cool.
We built a whole GPS system for his bus before anybody had GPS systems.
No one had one.
No one had one. It was crazy, man. It was crazy.
I just had a bunch of scrap there for you.
We were building a computer for this bus.
Before anybody had it.
We got all the way done with this computer. Almost like, let's say, 80% done putting the hardware together. Motherboard, everything's right there. He spills a Diet Coke on it. Actually, I don't remember if it was me or him, now that I think about it.
And oh my God.
It was just one of these things, 5 hours later, you're finally done, you're ready to put it together and put software on it.
Oh my God.
And it's like, and we basically pulled it all apart because I kept thinking, no matter what,
we tried to dry it.
We're always going to think it's a problem.
We took so much time on it and then had to do it again. But the second time it didn't go as long. We would stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning.
God, we did. We'd be at my computers.
How long have you guys known each other?
A long time, I guess.
20.
I mean, Suzanne started working for me when I was in 91.
Maybe 93.
No, because it was right when I moved into that house. I thought it was 91.
I think it was very close to there, yeah.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter, 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. Welcome. David Salisbury is with us, attorney at law. We talked about having a will. You need a date. Put a date on it. The next thing you need,
I believe, is a statement to say whose will it is, right up front.
Yes.
This is the will, or the last will. Do you have to actually say that? This is the last will and testament?
You can just say this is the last will. Just make sure it's W-I-L-L, capital W-I-L-L.
This is the last will of, and then print in the name. So it's very clearly legible. A date, and then I call that the title line. This is the last will of, and then put you in there as your name, okay? That's it. Now we'll go over some more coming up. 303-713-TALK, 713-8255. Beverly has one more Vegas comment. We were talking about when do you actually call the police. Beverly, go ahead.
Tom, I'm not talking about telling your neighbor. That could be a fiasco. I'm talking about a member of a family or someone that has dealt with this situation for years.
Yeah, we got that.
And they don't have anywhere to go. There needs to be, above just mental illness, saving lives and it all.
Beverly, do you ever have any nut cases in your family?
Any what?
Nut cases that you had to call the cops on?
No.
Okay, well, that's good.
But I told my son-in-law he has 29 guns, and I was laughing and talking, and I said, if you start acting strangely and threatening to shoot whoever, I'm gonna because I'm living with him. I know what's happening with him. There has been a great change. I've got to have a place to go.
You see what just happened there? She does have someone. That's why this whole thing came about.
Well, right now she does.
That's what I'm saying. You do have someone that you're worried about.
No, I do not.
You said... Okay. I thought you said there's been a change.
I said if I was telling my son-in-law, just talking about
But you said there had been a change or not?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, listen, you have an echo on, by the way, because you're listening to the show at the same time. But I appreciate your comments. Need to move on. Danny, what's going on with you, sir?
Well, Tom, this weekend, on Sunday, my dad was injured at Invesco Field. He's a handicapped guy, and he was taking a rickshaw or a taxi bicyclist driver. He was taking it to the gate that, he thought he was going to the gate, but the cab driver dropped him off to a point where they're not allowed to go.
This is a human pedal cab?
Yes.
And he was
taking... They call them rickshaws.
Right. He was taking the pedal cab to some gate, and what happened?
Well, he got off, Mike paid the driver, and as he was paying him, another bicyclist, just a regular person, not a taxi driver, nailed him, and my dad was unconscious on the ground for about 10-15 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty serious to be unconscious. I mean, he knocked him right the hell out, huh? Boom.
Yeah.
Did you get all the guy's info?
Well, he was arrested because he was drunk.
Oh, the cyclist was drunk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was arrested. Was it, out of curiosity, was it a DUI?
I believe so, yes.
How old of a guy was it?
Roughly about 50.
I hope he owned a house. You know where I'm going. I hope
homeowners insurance.
I don't know where else they'd go. We should ask Fuller.
I wonder if your PIP protection, if you're, I don't know. Let's say, John might know what kind of insurances extend because he's great at finding money. But before I ask John Fuller these questions, I'm going to ask you this, Danny: how badly is your dad injured?
He's pretty bad. At the time at the hospital, because he didn't even get to go to the game. He's a handicapped guy, so he takes pain medication, and he took it before he went to the game.
How is he handicapped?
He just had a botched back surgery that's lasted over decades.
And so, how much worse is he?
Today, he's just laid up in bed. He can't really get out, do anything.
Hold on a second.
Eggshell theory.
Yeah, we'll talk about that eggshell theory. John Fuller, personal injury attorney, John Fuller, Fuller Law. John is on my referral list at referralist.com. He's the personal injury expert I refer people to all the time. John, this guy walks in your office, or what I mean, literally doesn't walk in, but he contacts you now, and he's in trouble. What do you tell him?
He's absolutely got a case against this guy, Tom. I've had these cases before. When you're on a bike and you're driving along, you have a duty to avoid pedestrians, and on top of that, being drunk is certainly not going to help his case. So
it's egregious.
It is egregious, and I'd be happy to help this gentleman.
You should see these pictures, Tom. Have you seen them?
Where do you go for money?
Well, we would typically probably look at a homeowner's policy if one exists. That'd be our first place to look. If he's 50 years old and he's got a house and some homeowners insurance, they would likely provide coverage for a tort done while he was on a bicycle.
Really?
Yep, absolutely. I've had that case before, and I've had that outcome before. We've been successful against a homeowner's policy with exactly the same circumstances without the alcohol.
But his auto policy, yes, you can in a sec. His auto policy, though, would be out the window, right?
Most likely, Tom, although, we always want to give a careful scrutiny of every policy that's out there to see where coverage might exist.
Okay, go ahead, Danny.
Well, I don't want to judge anybody, and I'm just going off of hearsay. My aunt was with my dad. This guy might have been homeless.
Oh. Well, then it comes down to the same old, same old. You're not going to get blood out of a turnip.
Yep, that's exactly, there is the possibility, there's a possibility. Again, we'd have to look really hard at the various policies. If there's some uninsured motorist coverage or, some other sort of underinsured coverage out there, we'd have to look at your dad's homeowner's policy, his auto policies, any other policies that might exist out there.
But you do need an expert to help you look at those policies, because there may be coverage where you may think there's not coverage.
Hey, John, how about the guy with the rickshaw that dropped him off in the wrong place? I mean, I don't know if there's coverage on those, but is that a third-party claim possibly?
It's possible if the guy... is it foreseeable that the guy could get hit by a bicycle by being dropped off at the wrong gate at the Broncos Stadium? I don't know that you can make that connection. It's possible. If it was in a really, really wrong place and your dad had to traverse an area that he ordinarily wouldn't have been at, maybe. But, we don't know a lot about those circumstances and stuff. I never say never when I'm looking for coverage.
Right, I know you don't.
It's one of those things that you really just have to be creative in these type cases to try to find some policy that we could use to go after. And I've got half a dozen cases where I initially thought there either wasn't going to be coverage, and it later turned out that just by being thorough and creative, that we turned those cases into very, very substantial cases. So
all right,
I'd be more than happy to help this caller out.
I really think you should call Danny. I think you should call and have a consultation. Have your dad call John Fuller, Fuller Law. There's no obligation when you call and talk to him, and no charge. 303-597-4500. 303-597-4500, and that's John Fuller. Fuller Law, and he's personalinjuryco.com. Genesis Total Exteriors. I say that name because every day we hear on this show people giving money to dishonest contractors that start the job or don't start the job, but bottom line, they get nothing. One thing I can tell you about Mark Szymanski, in addition to quality work, he's an honest, forthright guy, and he's not going to walk and abscond with your money. You can trust Genesis for all of your home improvements, inside and out. 303-679-8509. 303-679-8509.
Kevin, would you send me that last segment with John Fuller, please? Just that last call.
Do you want me to edit it for you? I want me to edit it for you and then give it...
No, I'm just sending it to a prospect. Nothing to do.
But I can make it sound a little better.
Oh. Oh, man. All right, mud in my face. Drew. I call him Kevin, again. Jesus, I have no idea why I do that. We could make this a lot easier if you would just legally change your name.
Just Brutus. Call him Brutus.
Brutus
is easier. I know.
Right, Paul?
You call him Bruiser.
You got it, Jimmy.
God. It's one of those things, once I did it the first time,
Oh, yeah.
it's stuck. There's nothing I can fix.
Introduce you to my buddy Jimmy Major.
Jimmy. The Jimmy.
The Jimmy.
Remember that episode of Seinfeld where
Oh, yeah, Jimmy.
he was
where
talking third parts?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Jimmy's very mad at you, Kramer.
Jimmy played a good game of basketball today.
Oh, that was great. I don't know if I've ever met anybody that talks that way. I know there's people, I'm sure, that do.
Talks what way?
Third person. Like, Mark was great today.
Mark doesn't want spaghetti tonight.
Mark's going to the grocery store.
Mark's not dealing with the kids.
How about two people that would talk that way? That would be really weird.
Oh, yeah.
With the same name. Mark's going to the grocery store. No, I'm not. Mark's staying at home. What? It'd be who's on first. Oh, Lord.
So what are your current illegal activities, or have you given that up now?
Those were all my early 20s, man. God, when I was in the computer business, it was like the beginning of hackers, really. Everything. I built this little device that would change lights, man. It was crazy, and it worked. I mean, it worked. And I found it right on the internet. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, I went out and, you know, made it from scratch. I got the plans and built it. I don't think they work that way anymore. At least I hope not.
Well, they got something, because when the fire engines or any, you know, the fire department's coming through, they can change it.
The Dish Network in DirecTV, DirecTV was the one I did back then, but it was so easy. Basically, I had a card programmer. I'd pull the card out, I'd put it in, program it to get everything. Occasionally, they would send down a signal that would wipe it out, and I'd have to reprogram. After time went by, they made it to where you pretty much had to have it. They would send a signal down to screw it up so often you would have to build an entire computer that when the signal came down, everything was kind of automated. And it would just work and work, so it wouldn't stop.
Okay.
Then they came up with another one, and I'm talking DirecTV that they sent down. Bottom line was, it got so expensive to hack it, one day I realized, holy shit, if I paid for everything, it would be cheaper than what I did. But it was the fun of doing it is what it was. I had a buddy, though, Dan. He got sued by Dish Network. I told him, I said, if you're going to buy the equipment and do it, do not get a P.O. box, get something. Do not use your home address. He bought the equipment out of this place in Canada. The only reason this equipment would be used is to hack DirecTV or Dish Network. There's no other purpose on earth for this equipment. The place got raided by the Canadian authorities. They got the database. They went after everyone in federal court, and basically they wanted $10,000. He started looking at attorneys. Not one attorney would touch it for less than 10. So, of course, he ended up paying the 10 grand.
Right.
I was like, holy moly. I told him, too. I said, if you're going to buy this stuff, you don't just buy it, man. You don't buy it. You come up with an address. You don't use a credit card. You either get a prepaid. You use nothing that can connect you to this stuff.
Well, that's millions and millions of dollars they lose.
Oh, my God.
If there were, you know, a couple
Crazy.
thousand marks out there, maybe there were.
Oh, are you kidding? There was a whole community of us. Because where I get the software at the beginning, like every 3 weeks, they change it. So it'd be good for 3 weeks. But it's not like I wrote this software. I go out and find the fix and then put the card in and install the fix. I wasn't the guy that was writing this stuff, but there was an entire community. And I think the ones that were really doing it worked for them. And they were releasing it through the back. You'd be surprised how many of the hacks come right from the inside. A lot of movie screeners, these movies that get released on the internet you can download, most of those come from people on the inside.
Or you've got Seinfeld with the camera in the theater.
What was
Is this
that?
me? Oh, I'm sorry. Tom Martino here. Welcome, 303-713-TALK. Sorry for the extended musical interlude.
3-713-8255. Whatever I can do to help you, just give me a call. I hope you don't need this next attorney, winkandwink.com, bankruptcy attorneys, we did find that bankruptcy attorneys mainly have come in due to medical problems, even with Obamacare. Medical problems have bankrupted more people than anything. After that, it's unemployment or death, and then really credit cards are actually not high on the scale, believe it or not. It's usually a catastrophic event, and then the credit cards add to it, of course. Winkandwink.com, Mike and Gigi Wink. If you need a fresh start, and I hope you don't, but if you do, learn from it. 303-410-1720, 303-410-1720. However, I got to tell you something. I do think credit cards are destructive when used improperly, just like pain pills are. That doesn't mean they don't have a place. We have seen on this show every day people making down payments and getting screwed. And if they had used credit cards, they could be whole again.
On top of that, you might hate this, but the 2% back, it's unbelievable.
On the ones that offer 2% back,
I literally saved 2% on everything.
Wonderful. Let's talk to Matt.
Yes.
Matt, what's happening?
Well, we bought some property, and now the neighbors are disputing whether or not we have access to the property because...
Okay, we talked last week, didn't we?
We did, just briefly.
And I asked if you had a plat with a recorded easement.
Yes.
And so I'm being shown a plat, and it's hard to read live on the air, but I'm going to attempt to do that.
I don't think you can landlock someone anyhow, can you?
Well, you know, that's a fallacy that you can you can't. Yes, you can, because you didn't do it. What you can't do, what you're saying is this: if I own land and sold you a piece, and it had access, I can't take it away, even if you didn't have an easement, because it's kind of like I showed you that land with easement, and there's some technicalities. But technically, if people buy land around you and they landlock you, it wasn't really their intent. There is no real law that says, you know, the last guy in can't, you know, close up that easement. But Mark, I don't see, maybe you can see this, Mark. God, this print is small, even for my new eyes. I don't see, is there a recorded easement on here? I'm going to take you at your word, Matt.
There's easements for the power company and the
That's
ditch
what I see.
and the
I see the
company.
ditch. I don't see an access easement.
Yeah, it doesn't say that specifically. When they
doesn't say it at all. It says, based upon discussion day, I have determined that the road at the cul-de-sac indicated on 2 plats recording number beyond the cul-de-sac is a shared private. What does this mean? Is a shared private access with water and utility easements?
That's the access that's in question.
Who's Jim? Who's Jim?
He's at Delta County.
What is he?
I'm not sure.
Does he agree with you that you have access?
Yes, and the realtor told us we had access, and it was guaranteed from the title company. But
there is no. Yeah, this I don't see it here.
That's what I was going to ask. Was there a title policy?
I have it. I just didn't want to overwhelm you guys with paperwork.
What do you have?
I'll bring in more.
Okay, here, look at that.
Did he have a title policy?
Yeah, you know, the title company's going to help you. You know that. That's going to be your big deal right there.
Yes, the title company says we have it. It's just the neighbors keep bugging.
Well, they can't. Give that to me while he's looking at that, Suzanne, quickly. So the title company claims you have an easement. Yes. I'm going to go turn on the light here. I'm turning on the fluorescents that kill Mark. He hates. They're not really fluorescent anymore. They're LED. Oh, man, you can see with light. Okay, so there seems to be an easement according to the title company. So here's the bottom line, just what I told you. If there's an easement, it's yours. If not, you don't. And here's the problem. If you don't have an easement, you're going to have a problem. But I see that you do have an easement.
Unless you got a helicopter.
Yeah, this looks like you have an easement. According to... I would let the title company fight it. Now, you say, what good is an easement if they're just going to fight me and keep blocking it? Well, you get a court order or something. You got to do something. You got to get an interpleader. Would it be an interpleader, or would it be a where you're asking the judge, or would it be a summary judgment? It would probably be an interpleader where you say, look, we have this issue. We would just like you to decide this one issue. And if he makes it a court order, then the guy's in contempt. He can't just block your access.
How is he blocking it?
He's asking for 20 grand. The neighbors are.
So they're not blocking it, they're just asking him for
Okay,
20 grand.
what are they going to, why do they want 20 grand?
There's a maintenance problem with the road.
Well, are they all
old
chipping
owners
in?
would not agree to a maintenance
Are they all
program.
chipping in? Because I think under the law of courts of equity, if it was really determined that to keep that access open, they had to spend some money, they could get your fair share.
Or are they plowing it themselves, or what are they doing?
Yeah, they're plowing it themselves.
Give me a picture.
With
Give me a picture here. Let's picture a square piece of white paper, and your property is where, and where is their property? Show me.
Their property is on the square piece of white paper to the upper left-hand corner.
The upper left, and yours is where?
Our property is on top of their property, if you're looking at it that way.
So they're near the upper left corner, and you're even closer to that than how are they? Okay, so
yeah.
So their property is right under yours.
Correct.
But the county access comes from the left side of the paper and goes into their property, and then you have to take that to get up to yours.
Correct.
Okay, I got it. So your property is above theirs, and the only way to get to it, you can't come from the top of the piece of paper down to your property. You can't come from the left side of the piece of paper directly to your property, but there is an easement from the left side of the paper into their property, and then from their property to your property.
Right, but it's not their property. They've divided that property and made it into a subdivision.
And when they divided it into a subdivision, did they give the subsequent property owners access to their own land, to the other land?
Yes, there's
who owns the land to the left of this property toward the edge of the paper?
I'm not sure about to the left or to the west, but there's a guy to the north of us that has access with these people.
Oh, so they can go, and hold on, and those guys that have access to the north of you, do they drive through your property?
Yes, they do.
Okay, and that's an easement there. That's the same easement you drive through to get to your property.
Correct. So
they're really not saying, we're going to shut this off to you. They're saying, we want you to chip in.
And I have no problem with that, but a $20,000 upfront payment for something that happened years ago doesn't make any sense to me.
No, they want you to buy in, and you shouldn't have to unless there was an agreement. They can't just arbitrarily do that. But I would try to work something out with them to chip in for maintenance and snow removal and all of that.
You bet. I want to,
And you do it by a square. You do it by a running foot. It's so easy. However many feet you have.
Right.
Yeah, but it sounds like they're trying to choke him, man. 20 grand?
Actually, you have to do it differently than just by running feet. You kind of have to, if you think about it, the guy north of you gets most of the benefit of all of this. You get second to that. You don't get the part above you, but you get the part below you, and then the guys below you get nothing for the north part. I don't know how you're going to work it out, but it's called a joint maintenance agreement, and a lot of subdivisions have them, and you got to work one out. But, if you disagree with the 11, just say, look, here's the bottom line. You're not disagreeing. You're not disagreeing with paying something. I think if he knows that you are reasonable, he'll probably, they might work it out. First of all, who controls this access? It seems to me like this guy is also has an accent to the left of him. If you're looking at the piece of paper and you're kind of, in the middle of the paper, the guy to the left of you, to the edge of the paper, is that his property?
Yeah, it's the Kime. Yeah, yes.
It is.
He's to the left of our property, I don't know.
No, to the left of his property. If you're looking with north-north, to the left of his property is who?
I'm not sure on them.
Okay, well, he had to get an easement. Listen, everybody's depending on everyone here. And that easement should be really separate and apart from everyone. There should be no one person in charge. That's what I was trying to think. Who left him God of this easement?
Right.
Because he was the original?
Yeah, I don't believe so. They created the subdivision, and that's where they had to.
Okay, then that made them the god of the easement. But what he should have done is he should have deeded that to all of the owners by plat. He should have taken care of this in a much different way. And so you're going to have to work it out. And by the way, you don't have to work this out just for you. You have to work this out for future owners, or your property values go down, down, down. Yes. And just see if you can work something out. If not, give us a call back. 303-713-8255. 303-713-TALK. Okay, Plumline Services for plumbing, heating, cooling, electric, and drains. I've been saying this. Plumline is doing this wonderful service for me. I've asked them to do, and that's free second opinions for major repairs. If you need a service upgrade for your panel, someone told you, or a water heater, or you need, what else is big? A furnace, or an AC, or a drain. They do plumbing, heating, cooling, electric, and drains, their own drain division. They don't hire subs. They have their own equipment. They do it all. They don't sub it out, meaning no third parties. Plumline Services, free second opinions. They will evaluate anything you've been told you need. Please do it and make sure you're getting a fair price. And you can trust the people at Plumline to tell you if you're getting a fair price. They will tell you. Of course they want to take a shot at your business. So what? It's good to shop around. And with Plumline Services, it doesn't cost you a dime. In fact, if you decide on one of their furnaces, you get up to $2,000 off with 0% financing for a year. 303-586-1086. 303-586-1086. PlumlineServices.com.
This report is brought to you by Farmers Insurance.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
The Highway Drive pretty much up to speed in all locations in the metro area, so if you got some late errands to run, you're going to be in good shape. On the north end, Highway 7 remains closed right over I-25 in that small little gap there due to down power lines. No estimated time when it will reopen. The ramps are open on that section. And watch out for crash off highway on the southbound side of York near University. Police are on the scene. The weather forecast, sunny and beautiful today with a high near 78. Tonight, clear skies overnight with a low of 45. Tomorrow, sunny, beautiful, a high of 75. Right now we got a few clouds above in Denver and 60. With your traffic and weather, I'm Pete Wagner, 630 KHOW.
As the road you travel changes, so do your insurance needs. Talking with a Farmers agent can help you assess whether you're ready for the journey ahead. Find an agent at farmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Are you one of the unfortunate homeowners who did home improvements without visiting the giant buy and build warehouse? Oh,
and everybody looks the other way. He's making everybody money. His movies are very successful, hundreds of millions of dollars, and people don't have any more morality when it comes to the dollar bill.
No, they don't.
No one cares about morality. They care about the dollar bill.
Yeah, the almighty dollar. They all look the other way. Although I got to admit, I love the almighty dollar, so.
You need to download the OJs for the love of money.
You really have to see for yourself. Schedule a new patient appointment today. Mention my name.
You got to wonder what other Harveys are out there right now.
Oh, come on.
Like 50 of them.
Huh? And it's hard to get a start in that industry. So what do you do? What do you do? Do you give in?
That's what all of them did. I mean, some of the biggest actresses gave in. I struggle with the fact that, like, Jolie, is that her name?
Angelina.
Angelina Jolie went through this shit with Harvey, 20 plus years ago, and never said anything till these other allegations came out. Right. So it's like, how many women did he screw with over that period of time that all these other women knew was going to happen? And people say, oh, you're victim bashing, but it's really bizarre looking at it in that way. Or it's just so commonplace in Hollywood, it's just the norm.
I got to get rid of this fucking phone.
The Pixel?
This whole thing is just driving me crazy. It's really driving me crazy, this whole thing.
But it's a man's world out there.
But I can
and there's
text
a fraternity.
Did you know that, Mark?
Yeah, I saw it.
Because I'm using a new app.
It's just weird, though. You should just go with a new service, man. No, it is. It's definitely an old boys club, as they call it. It's like the oil
And
business, man.
if one of these actresses rats you out, I'm your buddy. I'll blacklist that bitch.
Yeah, she won't get a
She
job.
won't get another job.
She'll never work in this town again.
That's what'll happen.
It's weird thinking of how real the, quote, casting couch is.
Mhm.
I always kind of really thought that was just like porn actresses, but man, that's a real deal. It's nuts. I'd like to think my daughter, because of how we raised her so strong, would just tell them to fuck off, but, you know. She has
You want something.
She has a 3rd degree in Taekwondo, so.
Everybody's got their price. It doesn't have to always be the dollar, but
She really does. I'm really proud of her. She sticks right up with boys. I mean, honestly, she's just like, doesn't really take shit.
Good. How old is she?
She is 15 going on 40.
For sure.
So.
For sure. Wise beyond her years.
Well, come on. It's my offspring. What are we talking here? This is common knowledge. You don't have to say what's evident, right? Come on, David.
Captain Obvious.
Captain Obvious.
Okay, Mark, I found maple syrup.
Maple syrup? What the hell are you talking about?
I'm going to tell you about it. Just trust me when I tell you this.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. 303-713-TALK, 713-8255. David Salisbury's with us. How do you write your own will? Well, first of all, you know, you can get a will from David for $500 or $600 if it's simple. I mean, why would you ever take the chance? But if people always ask what needs to be in a will, well, first of all, the date. Then the title line. This is the last will and testament of, or this is the will of, whatever, you know.
You got to actually say that, though, David.
Well, you should have a title saying, this is my will, this is the will of. Yes.
Okay.
You got to be clear, right, David?
Yeah,
Everything
I mean,
is clear and concise.
Because if all you do at the end is sign your name,
right.
Not everybody's signature is very legible.
And it doesn't necessarily, so you say, this is my will. Now, do you have to say, I am of sound mind?
No.
Okay, that's all in the movies.
Well, it's in there, but no, you don't have to say that.
Okay.
It'd be up for, if somebody wanted to contest the will, they could say, oh, well, he didn't know what he was doing.
Right, so this is my will, and then after that, what?
Well, who's getting your property?
Okay, so you list, I want, what I want to go to who?
Yeah, or just in general. I want all my assets to go to my son, Billy.
And isn't it true
or Jimmy
that
Major,
to make sure people don't think you forgot them, you say, I have considered, you know, all of my relatives and options, and I specifically want to leave this to, because somebody might say, well, he forgot me.
Well, people can say that, but if you're real specific, I want everything to go to my son, that's pretty specific.
And can you use the words, I want my car to go to my son?
Yeah.
Just like that.
Just like that.
I want my bank accounts to go to my daughter.
Yes.
I want the whatever cash is left in this CD to be split 50-50.
Yes.
Just simple terms.
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay, we'll continue with this.
Hey, quick, what happens if, like, Suzanne and I both died in a car wreck? How about, like,
well, what does your
everything
will say?
would go to your kids?
No, I understand that, but how does a bank deal with, like, a lockbox and the kids don't know where the key is, or how do they even know it exists? Like, our kids right now at their age have no idea that we have a lockbox, so how would they ever know?
Mark, what is the term that Tom Martino uses all the time around the office, and I make you, hold on, Suzanne.
Drop dead list.
Yeah, Suzanne was raising her hand. And I make everyone fill out all the stuff they do for me, and how they do it, and how they log in, and I do it for them. We all know everything in a drop-dead list. Isn't that a good idea?
Yeah, but ultimately what happens if there isn't one and there's all these assets
well, somebody's
going
to have to step forward and be the personal representative. It can't be one of your kids because they're all minors. And then that person may end up having to do what I call forensic, accounting.
Got it.
Look through your bank statements. Look through everything you have.
You should make everything so easy for them.
Yeah.
That's
you
what I
owe
call
it
a
to
drop-dead list. Now, JR, what is your comment about the suspected gunman?
Yeah, Tom, I just want to make a
He's not suspected anymore. Go ahead.
Okay, just a 20-second comment. It's hard enough to call the police and have them come out to your house for anything. You know, and I won't give an example, but I
You're right, by the way.
You know?
Hey, hold on. I hope you have more to say. He's right. It's hard to just call and say, come out. Brent Ivinson, Ideal Home Loans.
Was there new news on this today? I mean, I don't understand why.
I don't know why people are calling.
This was that one woman, I guess.
Maybe she spurred it. I don't know.
The one who woke up or the one who found out her house?
The one that sounds like her son-in-law's a nut, that one. I swear she said he's been changing. There was no...
Yeah,
and then when
it
I
wasn't
called her...
an example. It was pretty specific.
I started thinking, that's why I asked her. I'm going, something's weird here. And sure enough, she's like, there's something going on.
Actually, there are plenty of places you can call. There are a bunch of mental health
suicide hotlines,
companies, or organizations in this area nationally. You don't have to look very far. You can make a phone call.
LAPD board to vote on controversial drone program. What the hell would that be?
I saw some video of a drone that went over, is it Raqqa or whatever, R-A-Q-Q-A, in
Afghanistan?
No, it was in I think it was in Syria, where they've been fighting the ISIS people and finally kicked their ass and got them out.
Yeah.
It went on for like 3-4 minutes. Just
annihilated.
Just rubble. Didn't see one building.
You think drones, you think these little things like I got, but those things they're flying. My God, man, they're holding so many, bombs. It's crazy, rockets, and
but
their
what
payload is
a
insane.
complete disaster. At the same time, I hope they don't think we're going to pay to redo everything.
That President Obama and others didn't always call the families of fallen troops like he tries to. I don't know. I mean, you could ask.
I wonder what they're doing with these drones. It really doesn't say.
You could ask other people.
What's so controversial?
I wrote letters, and I also.
Well, CIA has drones. Not just the military. If you're talking about, those kinds of drones, not the kind you have, obviously.
No.
So what innovative thing have you figured out to do with your drone?
I just like flying it. I really enjoy it, man. I like seeing how far I can go. I will lose signal sometimes, but then it just comes home. But I like flying it far, far away. That's my favorite. Yeah. I fly it quite a bit, man. Quite a bit. I want to get it over to his place because he's in a high-rise, and we'll take it right off from his balcony, and then fly it up and down 25.
Cool.
I think it'd be cool to get in my car. I could do it in my neighborhood. Both of our cars have, those huge sun things. And while Suzanne's driving, have the drone follow us in the car, because you can set it to follow. But I haven't done that yet.
So how long till someone runs it into a commercial airline? It's coming.
The scary part is I can override how high mine goes. I go up to, oh my God, man, 20,000.
Wow.
20,000. I mean, you can't even see it anymore. I've gone really high with it once, and then I started having thoughts, we're out in the middle of nowhere. I started having thoughts, shit, man, this would be wild if, a plane went by. I think it was 20,000. I gotta think. Actually, I bet it's right in here. I fly it right from this phone.
You're amazing, though, that you can do that without seeing.
Well, they lock it. I had to figure out. I had to kind of hack the program to allow me to
what's
change
great
it.
about his, and I've said this before, the greatest advance in these things is the neutral position. See, if you get confused with his, you just stop and it just stays there and hovers. The old ones, you had to fly it back, forth, or whatever, and if you hovered, it was an active hover. It was active. It went
You
like
had to
this.
do that.
It went like this. With his, you get confused, you just stop and it'll hover there for 20 minutes. I mean, you're not forced to take a direction or do something. And Mark, that is really a good thing. Have you ever had to just stop and then get your bearings?
I do all the time. It's not that I have to get my bearings, but...
Well, you got to, because when you're not in it, it's difficult, David, to really get your bearings if you're not in it. See, I always thought, I fly a helicopter, I can fly that little thing, but you're not in it.
It won't,
weird.
It won't let me look at it. with it not connected because it
So
doesn't.
you're not getting the visual feedback and stuff. So, I don't know, you don't know where you are.
A lot of times when I fly it now, though, I fly it purely by waypoint. I'll just pull up Google Maps and say, go here at this, and then go here, then go here, then go here. And then I'll just sit back and watch because I'm really just watching it cruise over houses and barns and shit like that. It's really the video. That's what I like about it. It's a video.
So can you record what it sees?
Oh, yeah. Actually, it's kind of cool. So you see everything on your phone live, but it records the actual video to a chip, you know, a SD card in the drone. Because, you know, you get about 4 or 5 miles away, this can start acting weird and it looks weird.
Right.
But the video is actually perfect because it's stored on the card right there at the camera.
Okay.
And mine hauls ass, man. It can do over 40. And it's so little. I mean, this thing flying at 40 is like, it's like a go-kart. It's wild. But it's so weird you said that about going really high on it. I mean, it's like, you can override it. I brought that thing so high one time, man. I mean, it took me like 10 minutes to get it down. It was so high. And then
But you could go do it at the airport and have it hit a plane taking off.
Oh my God, easily. In fact, that's just weird thinking about it. I don't know how they stop that. I have no idea. Because they're so small, I don't think anything on radar would pick it up.
And even if it did, what would you do?
Well, nothing. You couldn't do
Other
anything.
than tell
There's birds that hit those engines and take the whole thing out.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
That is a weird. I never thought of that. You know, I thought, you know, people like, see, it really can't hold anything. It's not, mine can't. You can buy some pretty big ones where they film movies that you could mount almost anything to it and it would fly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then I always thought they'd go into a stadium or something, but I never thought of what you just said. Is there anything at an airport that would stop that, Tom, that you could think of?
What's that?
Just someone going out to DIA with their drone.
No.
And somebody taking off. You know, you always hear on the news how someone's flashing a laser at
Right. Yeah, a pilot or something.
I never thought of that, dude. Jesus.
Mark, if I can think of it.
Oh, man, I know. That's crazy, even scary.
Hi, I'm Tom Martino, your troubleshooter.
Welcome to the show. 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. I'm here to help you solve problems, to answer questions, and to take complaints. We have David Salisbury with us, attorney at law. He does probate law, will law, estates, estate planning, and trusts. Eileen has a question for him. If you have any questions for anything, not just wills, not just probate, David Salisbury is from the referral list. He's here as a guest, but we can talk about anything you want. We also solve problems and recover millions of dollars for people. It's the only show you'll ever hear of its kind. If you're new in town, tell your friends about it. Eileen, what's going on? Oh, 303-713-TALK is our number. Eileen, hi.
Hi. Yeah, I was wondering, can I make out my own will and take it to a bank or something and have it notarized without having to go to a lawyer?
Well, did you hear us? The entire show today, we were talking about elements you need to have in your own will. And we were telling people how to write their own will. And the answer is yes. The question comes up a lot. And the answer is yes, you can write your own will. But if you have an estate where there will be contention, or you have a large estate, writing your own will becomes foolish, in my opinion.
Now, legally, you should have 2 witnesses along with the notary. And I'll also tell you, banks won't do it anymore. They don't want the liability. They will not. Used to be that they would provide the witnesses and the notary. If you took a deed to a bank and asked them to notarize it, and you had an account there, they would do that. But they're not going to offer witnesses who are employees of the bank. They just won't do it anymore. But you could get a couple people in the neighborhood to do it, and they're notaries you can call, and they'll come to your house.
Now, do the witnesses have to be notaried?
Well, they are.
So they're witnesses, and they sign that they're witnesses.
Everybody's got to be in the room at the same time.
Okay. So you have to sign it with 2 witnesses and a notary. So we were talking about elements of a will if you're just tuning in. The first thing is the date to make sure people know when it was drafted, just in case there's more than one. But even if there isn't, they want to know when was it drafted. The next thing is a line saying this is the will of so-and-so, obviously. And then you want clear instructions where you want your stuff to go and to who gets it, and then you have to have 2 witnesses, David said, along with a notary.
Okay.
Now, Eileen, what is your estate all added up?
Oh, I wish it was a lot, but it's not. I just have a house and a car and a very low bank account, and I have 2 kids that agree with me on everything, so it's very simple. I would just say...
Yeah, divide 50-50, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Or not even that. I trust my kids to decide what they want and what they want to do.
Oh, no.
Well, you know, if you don't have a will and they are the next, you know, and you're not married, then if you die without a will, that they're going to all your assets, and they will be divided equally under the law.
Right.
So if you want to say, okay, this one gets this and this one gets that, then you need to have a will.
But will I have to go through probate?
Well, you will for the house, and so one thing you can do is what's called a beneficiary deed, where you do it's a special deed, and it says that house belongs to you during your lifetime, but at your death, the house automatically goes to the kids. Right. And if all you have other than that is a small bank account, there's a very simple way to make sure that that gets transferred, again, equally to the kids.
Well, I have their names on their account.
Well, then that's where it'll go when you die. But the house is different.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you very much. 303-713-8255. Kevin has a comment on my drop-dead list we were talking about. I said, hey, you should have a list of everything, your accounts, your passwords, where you have assets, what you own, in order for it to be accessed for your heirs, for your children, for your wife, for your husband. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hi, Tom. Big fan of the show. I use an online drop-dead list, so to speak. What it does is I get an email once a month, and if I don't reply to that in time, then it sends out my list or my final words to a bunch of people that I've
What is it
reported
called?
on this website. There's a bunch of them. The one I like the most is called deadmansswitch.com. It's very simple. It's free. And it's good for us paranoid folks.
John, a dead man's switch.
Yep.
I don't like it.
I'd be afraid it gets hacked.
No, you know what? That is a big argument of a lot of people, because I keep a lot of stuff online, and I think the secret to that is to have a great password. And I have a great password. My password is really tricky. It's PASSW, but it's 0RD. I don't think anyone would ever guess it.
I don't put any actual account information in that list. I just have a note that says, here's where you find that information in the house.
Interesting.
Oh, curious.
That is kind of cool.
It's also kind of like a little love letter.
So, Kevin, how many heirs do you have?
Oh, we really don't have any heirs, really. No kids or anything. But I want my wife to get a note when if I die suddenly, and my parents, that sort of thing.
And how much would your estate be worth?
My estate? I don't know. Maybe... I don't want to say.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
Come on, man. How much money you got?
Mine's worth, when you take all the assets and all the liabilities, about $4.98. I probably somewhere around there. And my password, okay, PASSW 0RD. I really wanted to get tricky. I was going to do $$ for the S's. I thought it would be too complicated, though, so I just stayed with the 0 for the O. Mark, what's your password?
Not saying.
Okay. 303-713-8255. Do you believe in having one password for everything?
No. No.
Neither
I got one like for basic stuff, like
that's how I am.
I've got one go-to one for stuff like, Netflix, and I could care less someone gets in there. I can just change it. But then for, bank accounts, stock stuff, they're crazy and they're all different.
Yeah. I wish there was a way to really do passwords to where you didn't have to remember or write them down, but they just came to you.
I knew someone that hid $5,000 and lost it, and then eventually remembered where it was. And the same person, you ready for this, David? This one's great. He was mad at a hotel because he thought they took his suit. And then his wife found the suit in his suitcase.
Years later.
It was 2 years later.
Was it really 2 years later?
Oh, that's it. I thought it was like 10 years later.
I hid cash.
How do you hide a suit in a suitcase and not find it? I'm still amazed by the entire story.
I don't know. I don't know how. It was in some secret compartment. But
that's some suitcase.
It's weird. I was so upset.
But the cash was great.
Doug! Yeah, I know. Doug, what's going on?
Hey, what my wife and I are thinking about doing for some tax deductions, we would like to purchase my mother's house from her and let her have the equity and have her go ahead and rent there or just live there, whatever she wants to do. But if she's 74 and if something happens to her, she has to go to a nursing home. If I buy that house for full market value, will I be protected that they can't come get the house?
Well, of course you will. If you actually buy that house and she lives in it. Now, if she goes to a nursing home within the next 5 years, there's a look-back period. David, explain what they do in the look-back period.
What they're trying to do is prevent people from giving away their assets in order to be able to be eligible for Medicaid. So what they say is if you start giving away assets and try to apply for Medicaid within a 60-month, 5-year period, they pull those back in as far as saying they belong to you. But what you're saying is, I'm buying the house, I'm paying fair market value for it, so it's not a gift, it's not an estate planning ploy, you're actually buying it, she's renting it, and you could have a deal about the appreciation or the equity in the house.
If she made 50 grand on it, they may ask where it is.
Well, that is different.
And then she'd have to spend it down.
She would have to spend it down.
Now, how much will she actually get, Doug?
It's going to be about $70,000, but her equity is going to be about $35,000.
Oh, the house is 70 and the equity is 35?
Yes.
Okay, now, that 35, what's she going to do with it?
I would like her just to put it into an account and periodically gift it to me and my siblings.
Okay, why that? Why that way?
Just what I was kind of thinking.
Why not the whole amount?
Why not just gift the whole thing?
And then I can put that into an account.
Well, she can gift it all at once. Why would you wait?
You know, Doug, $35,000, if she has to go into assisted living or nursing care, that money's going to be spent really quickly.
Yeah,
and she doesn't need that care quite yet. I'm assuming she's got her health is decent.
How old is she?
She's 74. She's in good health.
Hey, Doug, listen.
If they do the look-back period and the cash is spent, I mean,
well, that's
nothing's
if it's
wrong
spent,
with it.
it's gone.
It's gone. No, right. You can spend it the day before if it's legit. Here's the deal, Doug. The gifting part of it, as I said, the most misunderstood concept there is the gifting. You can gift the whole 35. It doesn't have to be periodic, and it doesn't have to be under $14,000. And there are no taxes.
Okay.
Up to, I think, 5.5.
What do you mean? $5.5 million.
Yeah.
There's no tax, so she can gift you anything she wants.
Okay.
And that's it. In fact, she can gift you the house. But the problem with that is the look-back period would definitely have to expire. The look-back period. If she sells it to you, the look-back period doesn't matter because she truly sold it. Although the 35, no. That if she gifts that 35 to you, and she goes into a nursing home within 5 years, they will claw it back.
Yeah.
They won't claw it back if she spent it.
Yeah, if it's there.
But they will claw it back if it was gifted within the 5-year period. So I was wrong there. That goes for any amount, no matter what she gifts you. It will. So she should just spend it. I mean, let's put it this way: is there anything she needs?
Not really.
Is there anything you need? I mean, you guys, well,
take a trip.
But why do that now? $35,000. She's a healthy woman. She's 74, but she's healthy. So why would you leave her destitute?
Just spend it naturally.
Yeah, just hold on to it. And if her health starts, I mean, yeah, your health could deteriorate overnight, but if it starts to, then she can start spending the money legitimately.
Yeah. And what income bracket are you and your wife in?
Over 100.
Okay. You know, just let me tell you, when people say they need a tax deduction, they usually don't. And the reason I say that is, don't ever buy anything for a tax deduction ever. Okay? Buy it because it's a good investment and it will perform, not for a tax deduction, because it's never worth it, never. And people, I'm not saying you, but a lot of people mistakenly think a tax deduction is a good thing. It's not always a good thing. Now, tax credits are different. Tax credits are gifts direct from the government. I mean, you get that money taken off your taxes. But even then, don't strap yourself with something because of a tax credit unless it's good.
Real quick, under this new tax law that's being pushed, they're going to raise the standard deduction so high, some people who own homes are not going to be able, or they're going to choose to take the standard deduction over the interest deduction.
Oh, wow, because they're going to raise it. All right, time to tell you about Rocky's Auto 63rd and Federal for used cars, trucks, SUVs, and vans. And here's the thing. Don't buy a lemon from these crooks all around these car deals and then call me for help. You know what you do? You go to Rocky's and avoid the problem. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't shop around. Shop all you want. But please put Rocky's on the list and take notes, and you'll see the difference. Monday through Saturday, 9 to 8, 63rd and Federal, 303-426-4646.
This report is brought to you by American
For the most
Financing.
part, the highway drive in pretty good shape. A couple of trouble spots to watch out for. Up on the north end, Highway 7 is closed just directly over I-25. That's because of some down power lines. The
Ramps are open, but you can't get through. Did you bring those donuts up for the news?
Yeah, of course.
Wow, watch out for medical
I
situations.
forgot about him yesterday.
Who brought them? The liver lady?
Not the lady, the guy that called in, Matt.
Stages southbound York approaching the university.
So,
For more real-time traffic
dropped him off yesterday fresh. I told Dan. And his dog on me this morning. Oh, shit.
Well, none of us eat that shit.
I know. It's like if I do, I just, ugh.
Refinance and use your equity to consolidate your high-interest debt into one low monthly payment. Hey, it's Russ.
Trying to wait
You
for
can save
David.
hundreds of dollars a
Call
month.
screen
American
number
Financing,
updates.
303-695-7000 or American
I wanted
Financing.
to explain
Sometimes, you know.
I wanted to explain the question.
Adults who have
iPhone 7 is selling faster than the iPhone 8.
The question
You know
from-
why? The fucking price.
Great deals. How much is it now?
It's like $1,000 now.
So I have the 7 Plus, don't I? Or do I have the 6 Plus?
I truly want to dump Verizon and use Pixel. The Pixel I want to
You don't like it?
No, it's been wrought with problems since I bought it.
He can text you now.
Yeah, we had to find a workaround. Isn't that weird? I wonder what the hell happened.
And I did it because I couldn't text Stephanie either. She was added to the list.
How? Yeah, you must have some weird program on there or something. It's got to be something.
Maybe Sean did
John's question is, if you exclude somebody in your will, but they're a beneficiary on the bank account,
Oh, cool.
what trumps what?
I'll guess.
That's what I figured too. So the question is, David, if you exclude somebody from your will,
Yes.
and they're a beneficiary, let's say on a bank account,
They're getting it.
they're getting it.
Doesn't matter what the will says.
Some people's homes are worth
Right.
50%
If
more
you've
than
got life
before.
insurance, you want the life insurance to go to Suzanne.
But
Then Mark can't
but
put in
Mark
his will,
is-
I don't
Mark-
want Suzanne to have.
It doesn't matter if you're if you have life insurance and you're the beneficiary, and you say I want my life insurance to go to the kids, then it's not going to the kids. It's going right there.
Of course.
Because it's a contract,
It has
basically.
to be.
So that's the question.
We were rolling over a couple IRAs, and she was my beneficiary, of course. And then I went to roll hers over, and the lady said, no, I need her to do this. And I said, well, I'm her beneficiary. She goes, well, I guess if you go kill her, I can give it to you. I said, oh, shit, okay. I'll let her show up. You know, I screwed up so bad last year on taxes, man.
Oh, well, shoot.
Oh, with the IRA, the PEP.
We could have done 2 SEPs and probably packed away over $110,000 that I wouldn't have paid taxes on. I just can't believe.
He's so pissed.
I still am kicking myself from my meeting with my accountant. You have no idea how, like, it would have brought my tax basis down. You know,
SEP IRAs are easy.
$30,000. No, that's the problem. You can only put so much into those.
Oh, you're talking about like a 401k.
No, well, that's what a SEP is.
Yeah.
For
a self-employed.
So, but in IRA, you can only put X amount in.
Right.
My Roth, I could basically put nothing in. I mean, literally, because of the way they're structured, I literally had to pull money out of it because I overfunded it. And then I'm told that I could have done a SEP and put in a shitload. But a SEP, unlike the other ones, the cutoff date is the end of the year. So there was no way to go back in time. So
with regular IRAs, you can go to April 15th.
And our wills are done. They're just really dated, and our kids are going to be adults soon. I mean,
not really anything's changed, though.
Do you have a trust for the kids if both of you die?
No, we got to sit down with
them.
That's
you got to do. Because
I know.
They're not going to give them the money. You don't want them to have the money.
No.
Even if they could, legally.
No, even in their early 20s.
Now,
I'm going to put down when they're 85.
85. Do you all have contact with Jeremy Trout anymore?
I see Trout occasionally, but just in the building.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. John's got a question for our expert, David Salisbury, attorney at law. Go ahead, John.
Well, hi there. Hey, David, I was wondering, there's a will that exists. The decedent had other bank accounts and an IRA and life insurance that specified that a certain person would be the beneficiary. Yet, in the will, it eliminates that person from being an heir to the terms of the will. So does the beneficiary status override the
will? And the answer is, John, the answer is yes. I mean, if you tell an insurance company or whoever the custodian or of the IRA is that property goes to whoever when you die, that's where it's going. And it doesn't matter what your will says. You could say, I want to leave all my life insurance to my daughter Betty. But the life insurance policy and your deal with the company is it goes to someone else. That's where it's going.
All right.
So, and you can see why, right? Because all of that is outside of the will.
It's a legal contract.
Yeah, and it's outside of the will.
Right.
And the will can't interfere with things outside of the will.
It's like joint ownership. Right. If you wanted that your part of the house to go to your kids, but the house is in joint names with your wife, when you die, your wife owns that house.
303-713-TALK, 713-8255. Let's talk to Richard, and we will have some lines open so you can get right through at 303-713-TALK. I love when lines are open. Get them up, and we're going through these calls. Hey, Richard, what's going on? Richard.
Are you saying Roger?
Oh, I'm sorry. If it's Roger, I'm saying Roger.
Tom.
It's okay. Hi, Roger.
So I have a coworker that has some problems in the past, and we have another positioning opening up. And the guy tells me he got his record expunged 25 years ago, but went to try and buy a handgun, and I guess it put up a red flag. So now he wanted to know if he could get it expunged again.
Very interesting question. Is Joe Lazzara around, Suzanne? So are you sure he had it expunged?
In another state.
Oh, but it shouldn't show up anywhere. Where was the act alleged to have been committed? And I say alleged because usually they only expunge things that are in error or that are not guilty or charged, and you just want it off your record.
Well, I mean, the definition is erased, removed. I mean, it's gone.
Right. So, but it's usually not on a conviction. You don't get those expunged. So, what was this incident?
I don't know. I don't know the exact specifics. He just there's another position at work, and I think he'd fit the bill.
Well, it wasn't expunged. I mean, that's the bottom line. If it's popping up, it's still there.
Now, there's a difference between sealed and expunged. Sealed means that only certain people can see it at the highest levels, but expunged means it did not happen.
If you have a felony sealed, can you still purchase a gun?
No. It's sealed, but a background will show it.
But the CBI, for example, would be able to see it.
Yeah. But if something is expunged, but see, here's the thing. You can't actually get a crime expunged because if you're convicted, you're convicted. Expungement is meant for people who were either falsely accused or they were charged and it keeps coming up, but it wasn't real. In other words, it just never happened. They say it never happened. It happens like if you I don't know, all kinds of cases. But if you actually have a hard conviction, you have to be pardoned or get it. To get that done, that has to be, like, before it's expunged, it has to be...
Well, no, pardon's just basically forgiveness.
Well, yeah, you either have to be pardoned or reversed. So you don't just go from a conviction to an expungement. An expungement it's like what happened with me. I had mine expunged because it was false and it was dismissed. So I had it expunged. So it doesn't show up. It doesn't matter. People still find it. But what I'm saying is when I was accused of that thing, it was expunged. So it's as if they say it's as if it never happened. And they also said you don't even have to include it on any kind of
when people ask
application. But remember, that's not a conviction. You don't get convictions expunged. So if your friend's telling you he had something expunged, he may have had it sealed.
That's what it sounds like.
All right. 303-713-TALK. Dan wants to talk about a beneficiary's deed. These are very slick and cool objects and very, very useful. Dan, what is your comment or question on those?
Well, when I got married, Tom, basically my wife moved into my house. So, how do you obtain a beneficiary deed, and where do you file it? With the county clerk?
Well,
you can get them anywhere.
You can get them. Now, as far as it needs to be recorded, it has to be recorded, and yes, it's with the clerk and recorder of the county in which the property is located.
But, like these places that provide forms, you just get a Colorado beneficiary's deed.
Okay.
And it's payable.
But I wanted to double check that. I've got another quick question. As far as a beneficiary on a 401k,
yes.
Now they would be responsible for the taxes on that, correct?
As the money comes out, just as if you were taking it out, it's going to be income tax income that's taxable to them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought also. Or they could possibly roll it over into their IRA.
That's what they would probably do. That's the best way to go.
You can roll over someone else's 401k into yours?
Yeah, you can roll it over into an IRA that you control.
So if a stranger left me their IRA, I can put it in mine?
Well, you've got to set up a separate IRA just for that rollover.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, one of the reasons is because if you want to roll that over into something else, how do you do that without taking it out of the other IRA? So the answer is you roll it into one that's specifically for those funds.
Does it apply towards the maximum that you can put in for that year?
No, it's got nothing to do with that. Because it's not a contribution, it's a rollover.
So that's the way to go. Get people to leave you money in a 401k or an IRA.
But they have to have it in one.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It has to be in a qualified plan in order to come out to a qualified plan. Yeah,
right.
You're right.
Could you do that in a trust?
Yeah, you could leave your, you could make the trust the beneficiary of your IRA or or your 401k.
Yeah,
You got to do it.
hold on.
It's very, you got to be very careful with the way that trust is written.
Yes, because if it's a beneficiary, then it's paid out to the trust.
Right.
You just want to make it the owner. You can make it both, but you want it to be the owner of the IRA, right?
Well, you can make it the owner. Well, in essence, you can, but you've got to make sure, let's say you wanted it to go out to your 3 kids, there's going to need to be very specific language in that trust so that each of those kids gets their share and they pay income tax on the money as it comes out to them.
Got it.
303-713-TALK. I got to take a break. We got to talk about your life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness coming up. There may be a time in your life where you need Joseph A. Lazzara. You know, I talk about all my experts. Joe Lazzara is one of them, and he's one of them I always say, hey, I hope you don't need him. Joe Lazzara is a defense attorney, a criminal defense attorney. That means if you've been stupid and did something, you need him. Sometimes you're not stupid. You're just in the wrong place and you're falsely accused. Sometimes there's a DUI involved. Whatever it is, I'm not going to ask questions, but I will say this. Guilty or innocent, you need to get through the system, and you can't do it without legal representation. Joseph A. Lazzara is someone we highly recommend. Of course, we also recommend you stay out of trouble, too. But Joe Lazzara can...
Call him for his life today.
You have so many things to think about. It's the civil case and the criminal case. And will both with you and help you through the system. Joseph A. Lazzara. LazzaraLegal.com. That's Lazzara. Lazzaralegal.com.
What's that show where the women, only a few of them can get pregnant?
303-429-6200. 303-429. What did you say now?
What's the show where only a few women in the world can get pregnant? I can't think of the name of it. It was a great show.
There's a show?
Yeah. We've talked about it before. I just can't think of the name of it now.
And what do they do in this show?
Well...
Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale. Is that back? Is the new season out yet, do you know?
I don't know, but man, is that a dark series.
You like it though, don't you?
I did, but I don't watch it because Stephanie hated it, so I never had a chance to really watch it.
She really didn't like it. God, it's so well written.
Yeah.
75% of split ends and reduced breakage after just one use? It does. I've seen it in my own hair. All Ovation hair products are 100% guaranteed, so you have nothing to lose, just to gain great hair. Go to ovationhair.com today and select Talk Radio 630 KHOW in the survey at checkout for a special new customer discount and a free shipping offer for a limited time. Go to ovationhair.com for all of the details. And remember to select Talk Radio.
No. Oh yeah, season 2, episode 1.
Now, the free shipping offer.
They got a bunch of Emmys for that show.
Did they really?
They like wiped up. They got so many of them, including like best actress and best this and that. Yeah.
Yes.
What's that on Netflix?
Episode number 2.1. Season 2, episode 1. I got so much of that crap. You know, I'm almost sure I have Hulu.
The Broncos are committed.
Well, I must have Hulu if I watched all the first one. Of course I do.
You to be a part of it. Are you ready to get fit, have fun, and win prizes? If so, commit to participate in the Broncos Fit 45-Day Fitness Challenge. Earn points by exercising for 20 minutes, eating 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, and drinking 8 glasses of water each day to increase your odds of winning.
I like the show This Is Us, too, man. That's a good show.
I haven't watched that. It's good.
Oh, God, season was great.
I'm watching the new season.
It kind of irritated me, though.
In your home.
They never really go to what happened. At first, I thought
First of all,
he was killed and he was drunk. It's just weird. They never get to it. Oh, you've got to see it. I mean, it's a great show.
That won some Emmys too, I believe.
How about the size of that one woman? Man, that is a big gal. Holy, how is she huge?
Pure water choices as a client. This industry is riddled with
I got a sister-in-law that's pushing 400, man. She's past 400. Oh my God, she is huge.
Her sister?
In-law.
That's her sister?
No, it'd be her brother's wife.
They have all kinds of choices, but the important thing is that they're honest choices at purewaterchoices.com. 720-219.
I thought you were going to break into some, she's so big.
Man, she's got her own zip code out there in Georgia.
People can't hear this, can they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I won't say mine.
What were you going to say? Your mama's so fat.
Every Saturday on 6
Come on, you can do it.
You're invited to attend
When she
my
sits
free
on your
retirement
face, you
classes
can't hear the
on
stereo.
Saturday mornings. The first class, will tax mistakes derail your retirement? If you've saved a lot for retirement, taxes could be your largest expense. What can you do?
Did you ever see that show where it was they were having like, you know, insult thing? You know, like one guy would say, well, your mama said this, or you're the blah, 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 and then the other guy, you know, people would rate it, and then the other guy would go back at the other guy.
I've
forgotten what it was.
I've heard of it, but
it was
I haven't
funny.
seen it.
It was very funny. Not very nice, but funny.
You know, I was thinking that one of the best shows I remember was In Living Color. Man, did I love that show.
I did too.
Love
Love
that
that show.
started that.
Yeah, she was one of the Fly Girl. Yeah.
She was a Fly Girl. God, that was a great show. Fire Marshal Bill, Handyman, the protector of the handicapped. Jim Carrey started there.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Talk about making a wave. Holy moly.
You know, the
Wayans
Wayans
brothers.
The Wayans brothers are some of the funniest people I've ever seen
They are,
in my
yeah.
life. Hi, Tom Martino. I am your
Attorney at law and member of the referral list. And please use that referral list for your safety and for your well-being and for deals and for value. And another feature we do, and did these people ever fax us? I want to start doing some live deals on the air. We'll beat your deal. And we've asked people to call us. If it's simple, we can do it, or call us and email us the deals, because we will beat your deal. If you have something specifically you want to buy, a set of tires, a computer, an oven, you know, we've done it. And then you tell us what you want, or a saw, and you have a price and you have a model.
A car.
A car. Let's make a rule.
Hey, we did an
Let's
RV.
make a rule. It has to be over $500. How about that?
Or even more.
Okay, over 1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, over $1,000.
And no used stuff.
All right.
New.
All new. Because we can't compare used stuff. So all new. If you found it and you're ready to buy it for that price, we will beat the price.
We saved a guy money on a sawmill. Who would have guessed?
I know.
Who would have
a lot of money. Listen, this is cool stuff. We want to make that deal for you. Okay. Now, I'm going to take John. John wants to talk about small claims. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Tom, it's John Sherman. How you doing, man?
Good. Who are you suing, John?
Well, I was successful in serving that contractor. I talked to you guys about this.
Yes, you talked about a contractor, and he just basically did some bad work.
Fill in the audience, so what happened?
Well, he fell off the face of the earth, and but I was able to track him down.
But it was poor quality work is what Mark was asking, right?
Yeah, awful quality work, and also awful just, you know...
the way he dealt with it.
So he's probably not going to show up, and you're going to get a default judgment.
Probably.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, but if he does...
show up.
I have a bunch of photo evidence, video evidence.
Good.
Is that stuff I bring to
yeah.
the...
What you want to do is make it very... Listen, don't just give a bunch of photos. You mark the photos, 1, 2, 3, with an explanation, very simple, what 1 shows, what 2 shows, like a caption. And you never just give a bunch of photos and never just run video.
I'd bring a contractor with me too, man.
I would bring a witness, yes, a professional.
We have a good buddy who's the building inspector for...
Wonderful.
He'd be a great witness.
A great witness.
Yeah.
What are you alleging?
Well, I mean, they
just
did...
bottom line.
They were shoddy work.
Okay, so it's a breach. It's a breach of contract. Did you pay?
Oh yeah, we paid.
Then it's a breach of contract. You paid and did not get what you paid for.
Right.
So you have to spend. You remember, shoddy or bad work is not necessarily actionable. There are differing qualities, and somebody may have a great quality and somebody else not. It doesn't mean that it was breached. You have to show where it was a breach of contract beneath any standard that anyone would accept. It's not just low on the standard scale, it's off the standard scale, okay?
Right. And what it was they were doing a shower pan and a shower for us, and we had already had a leak. This was an insurance claim.
Yes.
And then, we had mold. It was this whole issue. And then the work that they did on the pan, the tile work was so bad that it immediately started coming through the grout and onto the membrane, and it would have failed again. And I was able to get pictures.
Okay, all right, good. So it sounds like you got everything going. Just get a witness, and you're on your way.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yes, you sound like you got it. Really. And Tim, how are you?
I am good. How are you? Thank you.
What can we do for you, man?
I had a heating company down in the Springs do some work for me. They changed the motor. Said the air intake was fine. They changed the motor.
You had a whole motor done?
An exhaust motor. So it turns out it wasn't the motor, that the air intake was clogged. And they've been a no-show ever since.
Do you know what an exhaust motor is?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
What are we talking about?
Okay, so in my heater, it's a gas heater.
Now I know. Now I know what it is.
There's an exhaust.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about now. I was picturing a vehicle. I'm so sorry. I didn't pick up the heater. Okay, so, and they did bad work?
Well, they replaced the motor. It turns out that the motor didn't need to be replaced, and I'm just wondering if I can
well, what did turn out to be the problem?
Well, this guy gets down and looks at the air intake, which happens to be the exhaust also.
Wait, how does the intake also happen to be the exhaust? What do you mean by that?
There's two pieces of PVC in there.
Yeah.
One is slightly smaller than the other.
And one is an exhaust and one is an intake.
Yes, but they're right inside of each other. So he looks
I get it. Yeah, I get it. That's the way they did it. Wow, that's weird. Okay. They do an intake and an exhaust, so the exhaust is on the outside.
Yes, I would assume so. The intake's on the inside, correct.
Wow.
So he looks down in it and said it looks clear, and then he says it must be your motor, so he replaced the motor.
Okay, then what?
Well, then the new motor starts failing. So I go and looked in the air intake myself, because I trusted him the first time, and it was full of rocks. I mean, chock full of rocks.
And that's all it was. It needed to be cleaned.
It needed to be, not only that, but the rocks have gone down into the heater, all the way down into the basement, and so it needed to be all the rocks cleaned out. I'm okay with doing that myself.
Well, listen, man. If he sold you something you don't need, that's all you do is you call your credit card company or write it online and just dispute it. It's so easy to dispute nowadays. And you write as the problem, unneeded work, sold something I did not need. Here's the problem. You did get it, and you did pay for it, and he's going to say he delivered it. They may not take it because it's not fraud, and it's not a billing error. So it may be sketchy because you got it. Now, what you can say is, I'm willing to return it, but he knowingly breached the contract.
It would be almost too much work to have him return it, so... But yeah, if they went down that road, I'd just...
So then at least try it. But yes, that's the way to do it. Who's your credit card?
Amex.
Oh, they're the hardest. You know what? They're the hardest, unfortunately. I don't know why, but they are. I don't like Amex.
He still got the benefit.
Yes, he did. He did get the benefit, and that's where it may turn out not to be a good thing to contest. Remember, contesting is for fraud and errors where they won't correct them. This is quality, which it's kind of weird. Maybe someone else who went through this could tell us. 303-713-TALK. Hey, if you are considering a cell phone, let me know which one. I'm thinking about getting another cell phone. I've had it. And we're going to talk about reverse mortgages with Jim coming back.
The highway drive wide open across town. If you got some late morning errands to run, now's a good time to do it. Pretty much posted speed limits on north and southbound I-25 through the heart of town. East and westbound I-70 wide open as well. A little bit of slowing on eastbound I-270 between I-25 and Vasquez.
That's because the maintenance vehicle's off to the shoulder there. Highway 7 remains closed right over I-25 due to down power lines. No estimated time when that small stretch.
What do you think of the
open.
death tax?
And watch out for medical.
Oh, it's such crap. You said it yourself. How many people in this country have over $5.5 million? You? Besides the fact that you, when you do it, if you divided it between the two of you, you've got 5.5, and Suzanne has 5.5. So we're really looking at $11 million. And Trump's been saying, you know, it'll help the working class. Working class doesn't have an estate tax issue. It's crap. Plus, there's not even an estate tax in Colorado anymore. So you don't have to pay that either.
You know, Bill Gates' dad came out.
Yeah, he said he was for it. Buffett.
He said he was for a big time. I think, you know, what?
I have a problem
100 million?
with, hey, look, you know my politics, but I have a problem with the estate tax. You worked. You saved your money. You invested it wisely.
Yeah, but when you're talking, listen, and I know, man, most people can't believe I say this, but you get up to $100 billion.
Yeah.
You're talking 10 people in the world. Man, that kind of money might need to be redistributed a little bit. I don't know. I see both sides of it, but that is like, that's...
Well, Buffett's basically giving away all his money to
Well,
charity.
that's the cool part. Same
He's
with
going to leave
Gates.
each of his kids like $1 million or something.
Gates basically, the Gates Foundation has...
Oh, they've given away billions of dollars.
It's worth $100 billion, I think. And Buffett gave most of his to that.
Shop next door. 6235 South Main is the place.
Yeah, I admire people like that.
From 1 to 2 right here.
Oh, hell
It's
yeah.
not like their lives, it's not like their lifestyle's been
I don't think
affected, but that's not the point.
it's not affected at all. That's the weird part. It's really hard to even conceive that. It doesn't matter how much money you have. There's
Well, you know, and
nothing
that's
like
the
$100
thing.
billion.
It's not like it's money. It's not like he's worth $20 billion. I has $20 billion sitting somewhere.
Yeah.
He has stock in Microsoft.
Who's this?
Somebody like Bill Gates. You know, people say, oh, he's worth $100 billion. But some people think, you know, oh, he has $100 billion in cash. No, he doesn't. His value of the value of his estate is based on the assets.
Some of it.
Yeah, some of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't really, when you have $100 billion and you give away 50, it does not change your lifestyle.
No.
There's no difference whatsoever.
No.
But
Besides
if
the fact that he'd give away
you've got
stock.
$5 million and give away 2.5, it could dramatically change your lifestyle.
Right.
Yep. And if you've got $5 and give away $2.50, that's a real
You can't
hit.
even get a Big Mac.
That you're done. You can't even get the whole Happy Meal.
We're only going to give you 3 nuggets rather than 6.
You gotta be ordering off the dollar menu all the time.
And forget supersizing.
There ain't no double cheeseburger anymore, you know.
Your knee or hip or shoulder, instead of getting it replaced.
I remember Eddie Murphy goes. He was walking through the supermarket, and right there on the front of the Enquirer was Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson was like this, and it said, "She takes half." He goes, "I guess when Carson got married, he probably had $100 million, and back then, shit, that was a ton of money. That's like $1 billion in the '80s,
Yeah.
and she got half." He's like, "You know what? That's bullshit. He married her. He made all that money. He made it, not her, and she gets half." It's crazy, man. And she did get half. And then he goes, and you turn the page, and she's on the next page like this. She's happy. I think he ended up saying the only job she had ever in her life was her husband. She had no other job. That was it. Your job's to fuck your husband. No other job.
See, and I don't think Melania even has to do that.
No, probably not.
They say they don't sleep in the same bedroom.
Yeah? He's a busy man.
Yeah. There's always time for
tweeting all
the
the
important things in life.
I'm Tom Martino. Tell a friend about the show. Look us up on Facebook or
YouTube. Let us know how you like it. We always love suggestions, and we want to help you any way we can. Let's talk, Jim. What's going on?
Hi, Tom.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
My parents made me beneficiary on the reverse mortgage, and they've both since passed.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, where would I go to find out that designation? Is that something that's filed with the state or
now
the
a dezogation for what, sir? What are you looking for?
Beneficiary, so I can conduct real estate transactions.
Okay. You said you were left the home, right?
Yeah, my father
How?
Told me I was the beneficiary on the reverse mortgage.
Well, there is no real beneficiary on a reverse mortgage. He may mean you were on a beneficiary's deed, and maybe that's what he meant, or it's in the will. First of all, do they have a will?
Yes.
And did you read the will, and does it mention the house?
It does not.
Okay. What does it mention in the will?
It just mentioned how the proceeds are going to be divided, but
How much?
I know that if I'm correct, the beneficiary supersedes the will.
Yeah, or not just supersedes it, it's outside of it. It has nothing to do with it. When it says, though, that everything's going to be divided, what does it mean? Exactly what does it say?
It just says the property, and I
mean, if it says, for example, let me give you an example. Yes, it supersedes the will when it says you get the house, but it doesn't say you necessarily keep the house. For example, you could have a beneficiary's deed, and that means the ownership is transferred to you without regard to probate. You don't have to go through probate. It's automatic. But in the will, they could say, and Jim, all of the proceeds are supposed to be divided. You're supposed to sell the house, or all of the property is going to be divided. That means you get the house, but you have to sell it probably. If that's the way it's read, I don't know. David?
Well, the thing is, if it's subject to a reverse mortgage, when the property transfers, the debt goes with it, and with the reverse mortgage, once they're dead, that reverse mortgage has to be paid back.
Well, of course it does, just like any mortgage. But it's no different than any mortgage other than it has accrued some interest. Do you know how much is owed to pay it off?
Yes, I do.
How much?
$220,000.
I want to know this for the heck of it, because I represent Joan Sullivan at Approval Reverse Mortgages. She's a wonderful person, and I want to talk about that because, like I said, I want to know a real life scenario. So tell me about it. $220,000 is owed. How much is the house worth?
$500,000.
And how long ago? How much did they take out? Originally, do you know?
Oh, I want to guesstimate maybe $80,000.
And they owe $220,000?
Yeah.
Holy crap! When did they take out $80,000?
Oh, this was it was in 2009. So
in 2009. So if they took out $80,000, I'm just curious. They took out $80,000, and the house was paid for or not?
At the time, I think they had a small mortgage.
Okay, they had to have, because 80 does not turn into 220. Although when interest accrues, it does accrue. But the bottom line is that has to be paid like any loan. And I'm not sure what you were asking. Now there's going to be a lot of equity, and I'm wondering, is anyone going to be upset with you? I mean, the fact that you're on the beneficiary's deed, to me, doesn't necessarily mean that you get to keep the house all to yourself, depending on how that will is written.
Yeah, there's 4 siblings, and my hope was to divide it between the 4 of us, and I was hoping that we could avoid probate by...
well, you avoided probate for the house.
Pardon me?
You avoided probate for the house.
By being the beneficiary?
Yes.
Are you sure there was a Jim, are you sure there was a beneficiary deed?
Yeah, we're assuming based on what you said.
Yeah, my question to you is, where would I go to find out?
Okay.
You would go to the clerk and recorder for the county.
And just get the deed.
Yeah.
It'll be recorded.
You can get a copy of it.
It'll actually be recorded as a beneficiary deed.
The city where the property resides, or
county.
Or the county.
Where are you located?
In Denver.
Downtown?
Denver County. You look up your legal, it'll show it. You do an O&E, it's called. Ownership and encumbrances. You do that. A title company probably will do it for you.
Or if you know a realtor.
Yeah. You can just go and find out if there's a just ask them to do an O&E. Okay? And if there's a small charge, you do the O&E, and it pulls up the history. Now, if you're hoping to avoid probate, here's the deal. If it's not a beneficiary's deed, you have to have probate to transfer ownership, okay?
Okay.
And then, as far as other assets, what else is there?
Oh, that was it, pretty much. My parents...
no bank account?
I think there was a small one, and my sister was the representative on the account. And
So does he sell? You may not need probate at all.
Does he sell that house?
If the will says he does, he does.
Now, with a reverse mortgage,
yeah, that's what I mean.
That's different than a normal loan, because if you have a normal loan, he could continue to pay that loan and not. But with the reverse mortgage, when you die, it's got to be paid off.
But it doesn't have to be sold. You asked the question.
No,
right.
I'm sorry.
No, that's what I'm saying. Does it have to be sold?
No, not unless the will says that he has to split the money, the equity. Then he either has to pony up some cash for his brothers and sisters.
Are you going to sell that house?
No, if it's a beneficiary deed, it belongs to him. He doesn't have...
David, that's not true. The beneficiary's deed transfers ownership.
Right.
But if the parents want the equity split, he has to sell it. Well, David, if it belongs to him,
he doesn't have to do anything.
No, he doesn't have to, but if the will says, I want the equity in the house split up, then they did it the wrong way. But of course he can do it. We'll talk about it. I'm consumer advocate Tom Martino for Larson Tax Relief. I've been fighting...
Put the deed, put the title in your name, and upon death, I want you to sell it.
I don't have to.
I know you don't have to. I'm not saying you have to.
Okay.
But because they did it the wrong way.
Well, they did it the wrong way. But if I leave you a house by beneficiary deed,
it's
and my will says
right.
I want the equity to go to the kids, too freaking bad.
I know it is. That's what I said.
Okay,
I said that is bad news because technically they did it the wrong way. They gave him the house and then asked him to divide up all the assets.
And that was
there are no assets.
Right.
Just like they gave her the bank account. They asked her to divide it up. She doesn't have to divide up the bank account either.
And if he divides it up, now he's making a gift because he's giving away property he owns.
What would he do?
I know. They screwed up their estate.
So would he do a tenant in common?
Well, I mean, if that's what he wants to do and they don't want to sell the property, then he could give them interest. But it's still a gift.
It's still a gift. Well, the parents should have done it that way then.
Yeah, the parents, what the parents thought they were doing is avoiding probate for the kids. But the will said, I want everything split up evenly. Well, they didn't. They gave a bank account to one and a house to another.
I'm sorry,
and he's saying technically, and he's correct, there's nothing to make him do it. That's what I said. I said, well, hold on a second. You know, are you going to split this? I don't know if he realizes he doesn't have to. I said, you're going to make a lot of enemies. But yeah, we'll clarify it when we come back because it's a terrible. You should show it as a terrible. Why would people need attorneys? Because they thought they were doing something pretty slick.
And they could have screwed
if he's a good kid, it might work out.
Yeah.
But damn, David, a lot of people on death, I've seen them turn nasty. I've seen families get weird over money.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
But what I'm saying with and you understand that too. Yeah. With the reverse mortgage with a regular mortgage, he can continue to pay that mortgage. There's nothing they can do.
That's true.
So he's going to have to pay off the reverse mortgage. If he has the money to pay off the reverse mortgage, he doesn't have to sell the house.
But technically,
yes,
all mortgages are due on death. Technically, not just.
Yeah, but okay.
If they kept paying on it, you're right. Most likely they wouldn't do anything. But technically, they're due on death. All of them. But here's the deal. He's going to have it. It's in his name anyway. Because so I'm wondering if it's in his name, and he wants to refi. If he's 62 or older, by the way, the reverse mortgages can be assumed.
I didn't know that.
He has to qualify. No, he doesn't have to qualify. There's no qualification. If he's 62, he can take that reverse loan.
I bet you he's over 62.
No way. That's not true.
Get Joan Sullivan on.
There's no way that's true. Then, without doing anything else, he could live there till he dies. That makes no sense whatsoever. The bank could literally then his kid assumes it. Then his kid assumes it.
But they do that. They do that with younger spouses.
which is weird. They qualify you based on...
Yeah, of course. But
that could go on forever.
They're not requalifying this. I mean, if he went through and requalified, he might get his own.
No,
you can't assume a reverse mortgage.
What you're saying
I don't think
is,
so.
No, I know, all I'm saying is I know a wife can, so there must be...
If she's on the original deal.
She has to be... I think they rate...
She could be 18. It doesn't matter, but they're only going to get a very small chunk.
Well, when it comes to being 62 or older, and he inherited it, I want to ask Joan. I mean, most likely she's going to say it has to be paid off. But because obviously they couldn't have anticipated that. And if they were 80 and got a lot of money, they don't want that money out on a 60 or whatever, however old he is.
There's no way.
But I want to get Joan Sullivan on. Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. Welcome
to the only show anywhere that actually recovers cash for people. And merchandise and exchanges and refunds and services. Welcome. We got a story coming up about someone who died with a reverse mortgage. There was a mortgage on the house, plus they took out an extra 80 grand, and now they got to pay it off when somebody dies. But this is also a lesson on how not to leave things to people. If your intention is to divide things evenly, there's a way to do it. We're going to explain this, for example. Jim, I want to take Jim as a prime example. Jim, how many people in your family? How many heirs?
4 siblings.
Okay, so technically, Jim, here's what happened. When your parents died, the house, if there's a, we're going on your word, there's a beneficiary's deed, the house automatically went to Jim, and the bank account automatically went to your sister because she was on that one, right?
That's correct.
Therefore, if there are no more assets, technically, you don't even need a probate. But if the will says, and this is where people have to be careful, they don't always get what they want in the words if they don't know what they're doing. So technically, if they wanted everything split evenly among your siblings, they did it the wrong way. Do you know why, Jim? They left the house to you automatically. It automatically went to you, and the bank account automatically went to your sister. So let's say the house has $280,000 in equity, and how much was in the bank account?
Oh, it was a small amount, maybe $10,000.
Let's say 10 grand. So now, if they want that split, that 290 among 4 people, they did it the wrong way because, as David Salisbury pointed out, the house belongs to you right now as soon as they died, and technically, what does that mean, David?
Well, it means you don't have to do anything if you don't want to.
Right, even if the will says to.
That's right. And if you're going to divide it up, now it belongs to you, which means you're making a gift to your siblings, which could be... Well, there could be a gift tax, but, you know, we won't go into that whole thing.
We doubt there's a gift tax because you would have to exceed in a lifetime over $5.5 million, which could happen. But most likely it's not going to have tax implications. But it is not as easy, I think, as your parents thought it was going to be. I think their desire was to avoid probate, right?
That's correct.
And they did avoid probate, but now they're going on your good graces because technically you do own that house the second they died. You own that house. And because you own that house, you don't have to sell it and divide it. That's why I said, what does the will say? And are you a good guy because you can make a lot of enemies?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'm trying to do the right thing. That's why I feel my parents left it to me, because they knew I would do the right thing.
Okay, well, they took a chance, and that's good. So now if you sell it, you will have to divide it up that way, and as David said, it would be more like gifting it to them.
You know who he should call for real? If he calls Frank Duran, the real estate man, Frank would probably run an O&E on him and tell him what he could sell for, and this guy would have an idea.
And get it sold for you, yeah.
And get it sold for you.
That's a great idea. No, I'm serious. If you are going to sell, there is absolutely no one better. And he would, because he'll run an O&E, he'll do a market report, he'll let you know exactly where you stand. By the way, Frank is at 303-920-1622. And then Joan Sullivan can answer any questions you have about reverse mortgages. If a younger spouse is in the house, they get to they get to assume it for a certain amount of time. I forget the rules. They changed the rules recently, but we're almost positive you can't just keep making the payments on that thing because it's a reverse loan, and you weren't anticipated at the time. So it's probably not going to be.
But you want to get it sold quick because that thing, you know, those reverse mortgages, they accrue.
They accrue a lot of equity eating interest.
Sure.
But we're trying to get a hold of Joan Sullivan to find out your options. I mean, are you 62 or older?
No.
Okay, and you don't want to keep the house anyway, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so then it's not really an issue. But Joan Sullivan, if you ever do have questions on reverse loans, remember it's like any other loan at death right now. He just has to sell it and pay it off. And by the way, it's actually better than any other debt, because if it was underwater, let's say they took a bunch of money and lived a long time, the estate would owe nothing. If the loan was $400,000 and the house was only worth $100,000, they could walk away. So that's the one good part about reverse mortgages. The bad part is they accrue against equity. So it does eat up equity. They took out $80,000 in 2009, these people, and that accrued a lot of interest. So now they have to pay that off along with whatever mortgage they rolled into it. Ideally, the reverse loans are best with people who have it paid off, in my opinion. But that's not the rule. The rule says if you have substantial equity, you can take out a reverse loan as long as the first is paid off by the reverse. And then the rest of it you get to keep. Anyway, if you have any questions, as I said, it's not for everyone, just for select few. And the few it's good for, it's a great retirement tool. I mean, people actually use it for home improvements or vacations or whatever. 303-771-3528 is approvalreverse.com. 303-771-3528. Okay, so Oscar wants to give kudos. Go ahead, Oscar.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's going on?
A couple of weeks ago, you referred me to, I think this is the case, Michael's Auto Repair.
Oh, yeah, Michael's Auto Body.
Yeah, in Castle Rock?
Yes.
I called them, and they referred me to a place in Denver called Auto Trim Specialist.
Yeah, because you were looking for some interior thing, weren't you?
No. I was looking for to install a convertible top on my...
Well, that's what I mean. It was it was something different, I remember. Yeah. You were looking for a convertible top, and what did the Auto Trim do?
Well, I purchased it outright from another firm, but they installed it for me, and I got it
nice.
For at least $600 less than what I shopped around for.
That is so great.
Yeah, it was very nice.
That's good.
You know, Michael knows everybody in that business, man.
Yeah. Well, anyways, the contact there is Arthur Gonzalez.
Good.
He's the manager. The phone number is 303-757-7463.
Well, I'm glad you had a great experience.
Oh, yes, very, very much so. And in fact, the installer has been there for like 45 years, so he knew exactly what to do.
Wow, thank you. And I appreciate that. Oh, by the way, Oscar, what year car was that again?
A 2006 BMW Z4.
Okay. Well, happy driving. You won't be using the convertible, I don't think, for a few months, but thank you for that. We have now an update on Denver Auto Hail Repair. This is one of the most unbelievable stories we've had come across, where this guy starts this company, Denver, well, he and some partners start this Denver Auto Hail Repair. They buy up some smaller shops and set up, what is it, on Federal Boulevard or something, Mark? And they took in hundreds and hundreds of cars. They went out and marketed to schools and teachers and stuff like that and took in groups of cars until they had too many to keep up with. And they were sometimes delaying 3 and 4 months or 5 months before people would even hear from them. And they got so many complaints, they started paying for rental cars. By our calculations, these people are in deep. They're paying, we thought, maybe up to $80,000 in a week. Could that be so, Mark, or was that a month? We calculated.
No, it was $80,000 a month.
A month. up to $80,000 a month, we calculated. And I thought, how can you pay that much money and still make profit on auto body work? And they were subbing a lot of the auto body work out to try to catch up. This is clearly a demonstration of where a company was too successful as far as getting leads. So successful in getting leads that they possibly could fail and not make money. Anyway, we got so many complaints about him, we called the owner. And the owner was very straightforward. Yep, we took in too many cars. Yep, we've learned a lesson. Yep,
couldn't find enough employees.
Yep, we're paying for rental cars. Yep, we're subbing some of the work out to get it done quicker. He admitted it all. And I said, well, how are you making money? He says, well, it's a challenge. We're not going to make a lot of money. We might lose money. And so that's where we left it. And my only question was, I did a little report on it at troubleshooter.com. My question was, how long can that go on? I mean, eventually, you know, things fail. But Alex, your situation you called us about, same story. Your car was in there for a while, but didn't he sub that to another shop, Alex?
Yes, correct.
And then you found out the shop that had your car and talked to them directly, right?
Yes.
And you felt a little more comfortable knowing at least it was being worked on by another shop.
Yes.
And then what happened?
The shop's all done, the truck's all painted, but Denver Auto Hair Repair still doesn't have it. And the president, Sean, he said...
the president of Denver Auto Hair Repair?
Yeah. He told me calling him every day is not going to get my vehicle any faster, and he hung up on me. And then later that day, Enterprise called me saying, hey...
so are you saying that he has not paid the other shop yet, so they won't release the vehicle?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Well, why else wouldn't they release the vehicle? If you've been to the other shop, will they give you the vehicle or no?
I haven't talked to the other shop. I think it's like a partner, so I think they work together.
Oh, this is a freaking nightmare. So now it's done, but you can't get it.
Yeah. And so with Enterprise, they called me, and they were having complaints about the customer would pick up their vehicle at Denver Auto Hail Repair, and when Denver Auto Hail Repair would turn the vehicle to Enterprise, it would have damage to the vehicle. And the customers were saying, well, I didn't do that. And so Enterprise called me. They said, bring the car directly to us because we're having issues with them. And the car paying for your rental keeps getting declined.
Oh, they're falling apart over there.
Oh, man, Alex.
You need to get your car back,
You got to get it as soon as possible. Like,
yeah,
have they...
I know. The ship's sinking, and I need to
get off of it. No matter what, they're not going to keep your car. Is it completed, though? Complete and ready to go?
It's all painted. I don't know if they still have PDR to do, but that would be ridiculous after 4 months of having my vehicle.
And he hung up on you?
Yeah.
And right now, your rental, it's being refused, the card they used?
Yeah, the card on it, it's being declined, but Enterprise told me that if anything changes where I have to return the vehicle, they'd call me and let me know.
Yeah, this thing's, it's a sinking ship, man. This is a Titanic.
Can we call at least about getting Alex's truck out?
I did, and it's a little odd. She said the owner's been out all week, wasn't sure when he'd be back, couldn't leave a voicemail for him, so she gave me a cell phone, Tom. I'm going to try it.
See how open they are? That's the thing. They're not typical.
This is starting to sound weird, man.
I'm not their cheerleader, Mark.
No, I know that.
I'm just saying.
It sounds a little weird on the phone with the girl. So
the fact that he's gone for a week.
It sounds like it's failing to me.
He's probably, trying to figure out what to do.
I know it. What do you do? Even if you have the best intentions, what do you do? If it economically and financially and mathematically doesn't make sense, you can't make it.
Then you chapter it.
You just can't make it. All right. And you know what else you can't do? You couldn't possibly do a Pro Pack special with changing the oil filter and tire rotations and wiper blades and checking and topping fluids. You can't do that for under $25 and stay in business if you do it for everyone. But you see, Alaramas is not going to do it for everyone. So if you're ready, you may get this deal, but you gotta listen. Al?
Yes, sir.
It's not for everyone.
No, it's not, man. And Tom, you nailed it on the head. If you walk through the store and go buy some wiper blades, you're gonna shell out $25. I'm gonna do the all-change synthetic blend, tire rotation.
Synthetic blend plus tire rotation plus blades, filter.
Plus topping all the fluid, checking tire pressure. I'm gonna do it for 5 callers, $24.95. It's the biggest no-brainer.
Now,
I mean, it's a great
5 callers each location. That means 10 callers. Now, if you're located in the Littleton area, Highlands Ranch area, or near Bowles in Santa Fe, it's just south there near Arapahoe Community College, you call 303-PRO-AUTO. And if you're located at Evans and I-25 in that area, you go just east and north on Dahlia, you call 303-PRO-AUTO, and they'll route you to one. But you got to be at one of the first 5 callers for each location. Wow. 303-PRO-AUTO. Now, the website is 303proauto.com.
From the L&L Heating and Air Conditioning Traffic Center.
One crash on the Highway Drive in the metro area. It's on the eastbound side of 6th Avenue after Sheriff.
Backups all the way past Wadsworth at this time. That's not the only slow spot in town, though. Good news there. On the north end, Highway 7 remains closed.
That guy filed bankruptcy. The guy that used to say, the biggest no-brainer in the history of Earth.
Trying to repair that could be shut down for quite some time. For more
Linux Financial.
updates on your route, download the new Total Traffic app powered by Traffic Karma. The weather forecast, sunny and beautiful later on today with a high near 78. Right now, just a few clouds hanging out and 66. With your traffic and weather, I'm Pete Wagner, 630 K-House.
Do you remember when we were over by Cool River years ago and that pitchman was there?
Yeah.
Not the ShamWow guy.
Billy.
Yeah, Billy, that's right.
I
Man,
got to know him pretty well.
He looked like he was on coke, brother. He was speeding.
Billy was really good friends with Max.
Who's Max?
The owner of he was the one that started OxyClean.
Oh, yeah.
Sold it for $600 million.
Wow.
Max.
It's everywhere.
Max, well, he first started Orange Glow, then OxyClean, then Kaboom. Max, I mean, he was just a... I hung out with him a lot. In fact, he's near 90 now, I think. I got to go see him. I got to be very good friends with Max, and I love Max and his wife. Jesus, my brain is just like Swiss cheese now. I'm trying to think. Max. They're just such lovely people. They really are, and he is so smart. The problem is a lot of the stuff I'm sapping off of him, trying to learn, is old school stuff, so it doesn't apply anymore. His ideas do, but a lot of the stuff just don't apply, like some of the things he was telling you had to do, because it was all based on infomercials.
Yeah.
And that whole model is almost dead. But Mark, so that was the problem, and he didn't want to do anything online and stuff. But I still want to go see Max Apple, Max and Elaine Apple. And then the guy's name was Billy what?
Billy Mays.
Billy Mays.
He died of...
now, Billy had 2 Bentleys.
Cocaine.
I think he had 2 Bentleys.
On an airplane. I want to say...
a bag hit him in the head. Came down and smacked him on the head. And he didn't die then, but he died later of a hemorrhage.
I thought he died from literally cocaine.
You know what? That's what.
I'm going to look it up.
That's what.
Schedule a new
People said, I don't think that was.
mention my name
Let's put it this way. It might be the official cause but not publicized, or it might have been publicized and not the official cause. But I know that there was a lot of chatter about it.
Taste the truth today at 1.
He had everything going for him, man.
Your promises. This is the net result of it.
Well, how about the assistant coach for the Dolphins, who allowed himself to be videoed?
Cocaine use caused or contributed to the development of his heart disease.
Yeah.
Oh, but didn't he hit his head that day or something? I heard.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. 303-713-TALK. 303-713-8255. Welcome. Let's do what we can to make your life a little easier. David Salisbury is with us. Kathleen, you have a question about a 401k. Go ahead. Hi. Yes. Okay. Now, what do you know about a 401k? Tell me what you know, and maybe we should just make sure. What have you heard? Well, hold on. Did you take $42,000 out before he was 59 and a half? Okay. Now, what happens is, okay, when you take money out, you're penalized, okay, 10%. On top, first you take whatever amount you took out. How much did you take out? So you're penalized out of 42,000 automatically 10%, okay? So that was that, and then you add that to it, so you took out 46.2. And then 46.2 is taxable income, and if it throws you into, what was your normal income at that? So, yeah, years and years ago, it's very possible you paid, by the way, on 46.2, you paid 50% tax. So it's possible that you paid on top of that now another 50%.
But the reasoning is,
and you got about 23 grand.
But that money, when you put it into that 401k, it wasn't taxed at that point. That's why it's taxed again. Really, the only place she got hit is a penalty.
Yeah, you're not taxed twice. That's what I don't understand. You're not taxed twice. Here's what's great about a 401k or any qualified plan. The great thing about it is, most qualified plans are pre-tax money. There's a few that aren't. But let's talk about the pre-tax. Anytime you can reduce your adjusted gross income when you're younger, it's usually a very good idea because you're at prime earning stages, so you want to reduce your adjusted gross. And by doing a qualified plan, it is subtracted from your AGI, okay? So by subtracting from your adjusted gross income, you are being taxed less that year, plus any growth within a qualified plan is tax-free while it's growing. It's all tax-free. And it keeps going and going and going, and then that allows you to make at least 30% more money than you normally would, and up to 50% more. Once that's done, once you start making a lot of money, and then you want to draw it out, if you are 59 and a half or older, you only pay normal taxes. The theory is, or the philosophy is, when you're older, you'll be in a lower tax bracket.
You're missing a huge benefit, though. And that huge benefit you're missing is if they're going to do any match whatsoever, it's free money.
I forgot all about it. You're right. That's incredible. The match. Oh, that's great. He can do. He should do as much. I know.
He's got to be disciplined and not take it out.
But here's the thing I want to tell you, Kathleen, and this is something that I wish I listened to. Being 22, you think it's not possible that you're going to age. and when somebody said to me, you won't be able to draw something out till you're 59 and a half, that was it was an eternity.
And look at you now.
Yes, it was an eternity. Now, Kathleen, what I'm saying to you is if he has the discipline to do this, there is no better tool than a qualified plan because of what we just talked about, the lowering of the adjusted gross, the tax-free growth, and the match, if any. Some companies, or most now, don't match. That's why I forgot about it. That match is free. It's free money. He's getting a raise. So I don't see any reason why he should not do it unless, and this is the big unless, his cash flow is so dismal that little bit of money is going to make the difference. But how do you keep that from happening? It's burn rate. The bone I have to pick with young people is burn rate. That means what do they spend in a month? It's a burn rate. Oh, good. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying life. But these kids who need to have things or they want to look the part before they are the part, it's a problem. It's a real problem. And I hope this kid really does know the value. Now, I'm sounding like my parents never wanted to, but you know, Kathleen, if he wants to enjoy life, fine, but he's got to remember that income deferred and income saved is so valuable.
Yeah, he needs to do this. Plus,
Yeah.
he's getting 5%.
Yeah. Okay.
Depends how much his salary is.
I will tell you, money grows so stinking fast when it's not taxed. You'd be shocked. And then that money grows. But it depends on the plan, too. I mean, you can have a crap investment that won't make a lot. You can have some that are great. And a lot of them are not self-directed. They have a family of funds, and you have to pick. In general, yes. In general, it is.
Oh
but in
a
long-term play like this, you don't do day trading. You do good quality stocks and you hold them. And it's really good to do, Kathleen. It's really
He's
good.
not going to have a choice. Whoever's running that 401k is going to say, here, pick this, 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 and this, and then run.
No, that's good. That's good. And then the other thing I would do if I was him, now as he makes more money or not, I would get a life insurance policy, as little insurance as I could get for the highest premium I could make to accumulate cash value. If young people do this, they do not understand the power of the money that they will accumulate, because this is the only non-qualified plan where you can do the same exact thing as a retirement. In fact, let me just tell you how you do it. You would get a life insurance policy. The purpose is not to get life insurance. It's to get the vehicle to save. The government tells you, if you have life insurance, we're going to allow you to invest the money in your life insurance and not pay tax on that money, because we want your life benefit to be big. So that's what the government does to encourage it. So what he should do is get a life insurance policy, the smallest he can for the largest cash premium, and then overpay as much as he can into it. There's a formula the government gives you and says how much you can put into the limit. I would fund it to the limit for as long as I could. Then if he has a bad year, a lean year, he can come back to the normal limit. He doesn't have to stay at that high limit. But I'm saying he should fund as much as he can. Here's what happens. The money within that plan grows tax-free. Even though he's paying taxes on the money he bought it with and he's putting in there, it still grows tax-free. And when he gets older, he'll be able to borrow from himself to buy cars, to buy a house, to invest in a business, and he pays it back, but he's paying himself back with interest. And guess what happens when you pay yourself back with interest? You're putting away more money that will grow tax-free, because the interest you're paying to yourself is extra money you're sneaking into the plan. So now let's say you've accumulated $1 million, and it's not hard. So you're 58, 59, 60, 61, 49, it doesn't matter. You say to yourself, I want to start slowing down. So you borrow $100,000 and put it in the bank. And you use that money to live on. And a few years down the road, you borrow another $100,000. And you borrow $600,000 or $700,000 out of this $1 million you've accumulated, which, by the way, is still accumulating. You know, it's still earning. Well, now, you die. Your life insurance pays what you borrowed. It was never considered income to you. You never paid a dime of tax on the growth. You never paid a dime of tax on what you took out. And that, in a nutshell, is what I call being a bank. And there's only one guy, by the way, I trust to do that. And just so you know, I mean, I have no relationship with this guy at all. He doesn't advertise, but he's the only honest one I know that I love that does this. So anyway, I want to continue helping everyone we can with this Denver hail thing, because I'm getting some emails on it. They have cars there, and they want to know what to do. Suzanne, did it sound to you like they were shutting down? Is that the impression you got? Like she had, like that receptionist said, well, I don't know. He's been gone for a week and gave... Yeah. Gone. All right. Okay, I just got an instant message. Tom, you just did that beautiful rendition and you didn't give the guy's name. Okay. Here's his website, becomethebanker.org. Okay, that's that life insurance thing. Becomethebanker.org. I've never seen anything like it. Anyway, if you're looking for a home loan, we've talked about this today. Ideal home loans for your next ideal home loan. You know, why do I say that? Do you know how many people can simply become a loan broker? They don't even have to have money. Ideal is a lender. They lend their own money. They underwrite their own loans, and then they service those loans. And even if they sell the loan, it doesn't matter. All of your terms and conditions were originated with Ideal. And here's where Ideal is different. They don't simply give you one size fits all. It's that easy. They don't do it. So they pick a loan best for you. That means term, rate, and conditions. You may want to borrow 26.5. You may want to borrow, listen to this, for 27 years. You may want to borrow for 22 years. You may want to borrow for 18 years. Whatever you want to borrow, you pick the term because you don't want to go back to 30, but you still want to get the low rates. Or you do want to go back to 30. It's your choice. They even have a guaranteed down payment program where if you do a VA and or an FHA and you put your money down, they will guarantee your down payment. If anything goes wrong and you get out of the house, they guarantee your down payment. You got to call them for details. And they also have interest guarantee. If interest rates go down, they refinance you free of all charges, except for the normal prepaid stuff. So listen, give them a call for your next ideal home loan. 303-867-7000. 303-867-7000, or go to the website idealhomeloans.com.
Air Conditioning Traffic Center. Let's start off with the good
So
news.
Billy Mays,
Federal looks like that's been cleared out of the way. Traffic flow back up to speed on eastbound, traveling out towards I-25. No delays on the highways due to wrecks. There's some slowing on the westbound side.
And it's safe on your colored fabrics. Use it on carpets. OxyClean seeks out organic stains, pet stains, food stains. They get down into the matting, into the padding. It even takes red wine and grape juice out of white carpeting. Brightens and eliminates odors all at the same time. Don't just get it clean, get it OxyClean. Make a place, make it 10 times.
what do I do? Nothing now?
The longer you let it set, the easier it is. It'll
No, we got letters rolling now, so we'll do it before the next break.
How much time do I have?
You got 2 minutes. Go.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'll wait.
Sure, I can give you more time.
All right.
Go.
Thank you.
Without the damaging side effects of chlorine. When your laundry detergent just isn't enough, supercharge it with OxyClean. One scoop in every load of laundry, it'll make your whites.
Oh, it's funny. Remember the movie Lean on Me?
Yeah. Great movie.
With the principal. So you remember the little kid that he was trying to help out the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
He just got busted for 6 pounds of weed. There's some mugshots of it.
And of course,
that's a lot of weed.
Phoenix is dead.
River Phoenix.
Yeah.
What did he die from?
Drugs, I think.
God, it's a lot of people don't come out of Hollywood normal, do they?
Nope.
Whether it's baked on in the oven or caked on the stove. You get all this for just $19.95. But call in the next 20 minutes and we'll supersize your OxyClean from a 2.5-pound tub to a whopping 6-pound bucket. Nearly triple the amount.
Plus the kid who, in that movie, who ate the pie and then vomited on everybody, is now, his name is Jerry, he's been in all kinds of
I don't remember the
TV shows. Don't you remember that it's at the state fair and everybody used to give this kid a hard time? actually what it is the main kid who made up stories, remember, told great stories?
Yes.
He tells his story
Yes.
about this kid
I
and
do
how he's
remember that.
abused and he eats
Really big kid.
Yeah, yeah.
I do remember that. And then he puked all over.
All over everything.
Oh, I forgot about
But
that.
he's now thin. It's Jerry whatever, but he's been in all kinds of movies and TV shows, and he's not heavy. He's normal, tall, normal sized.
He was a big kid.
Yeah.
I watched, it was years ago, but I actually watched that hot dog eating champion.
God.
That one Chinese guy or whatever he is, man. He would just go, it was like this. He ate like 50 of them. And he weighed like...
Hi, Tom Martino here. Welcome. 303-713-TALK. 303-713-8255. Let's talk about problems, questions, complaints. David Salisbury is with us. We've been talking about wills, and we did talk about a lot of issues. And wills have to have a date. They have to have who the will is for sure, right up front. This is the will for. Then you have to detail who you want to get what. And then you have to have 2 witnesses plus a notary plus your signature all together. You can't like run around and get different people in different times. They have to be notarized. And then once you get that will done, it can be handwritten or typed, but it has to be signed. Then after that, what do you do with it, David Salisbury?
You put it somewhere safe, and you let, one thing that we didn't talk about is you should put in the will who your personal representative is.
Oh my goodness,
Who's going to
of
handle
course.
it. You need to let that person know where the will is. And so if something happens, they can go and get the will. Otherwise, you know, somebody might have to go through your house and try to find it. So make sure it's in a safe place. Some people have safe deposit boxes. A lot of people don't. So just make sure it's somewhere that's not sitting on a table, but is safe.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That is good advice. David Salisbury, attorney at law. And David's on our referral list. The referral list.com. When he's not here, he's at 720-493-3911. Dave, you want to know about oil and gas mineral rights, right? Yes, sir. Yeah, so they actually asked you if you wanted to be part of the working interest? Only if they give you that option. I mean, you could always turn it down, but not all companies want other people sharing in the working interest. Now, you can buy either a working interest, you can buy the royalty stream, you know, there's the royalties, or you can actually be an operator or an overall owner. I mean, depends. Sure. Yeah. Well, there are oil and gas attorneys, but I'm not sure you need that. All you need to do is look at your title work. First of all, are any of them under or on your land? The wells. Okay, so it doesn't affect you. Well, if they go under your property, they have to get a lease from you. Okay, and so you have to determine if you have them, and you do that through title work. Now, here's the deal. As you said, you know you didn't get them actively, so did you inherit them back? That's going to be more difficult. And the only way to know that is to hire someone at a title company to research that. They would literally research the lineage. I mean, that's what they do. That's the only place that really does it. An oil and gas attorney, if you hired one, would go to a title company. You know, I mean, the title companies, they're all the same. I mean, but you would go to like land titles.
A good title company. You know, I'm just naming one. And you would have them conduct research on the mineral rights for, it would be just for one thing specifically, the mineral rights for this property. You don't want to know about anything else. No other liens, nothing. You just want them to research what happened to the mineral rights. They'll go back to before you. They'll go back to whoever owned that land, and then they'll follow the mineral rights. And within those deeds that you will have wording that says, that if you don't exercise them, you lose them or whatever. And then they will give you the legal opinion on whether you own it or not. But that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, here's the deal. If somebody is trying to negotiate with you, I would pretty much say they've done some research. Why would they spend money without having to?
Well, and here's the real question I have right now is, if participation was an option, and according to the guy on Sunday who says, I work for this oil company directly and you do own your mineral rights, and I said, well, I've tried to get information about participation since January, and then they told me I don't own them. He says, oh, it's too late to participate.
Okay.
Now my question is a legal one. If they've run us around for 7 months and now we don't have the option to invest and participate, but we could sure sell them our lease and they could give us 18% of our 100% that we could have had we participated.
First of all, David,
a legal issue?
David, there could be, but no one would ever take it. It would cost you more money than it's worth. There could be. What you're asking is there a lost opportunity because they delayed in telling? No, because ultimately you're the one who's supposed to know the status of your mineral rights. If you were really eager, you're the one that should have hired a title company, ascertained the exact nature of your ownership, and then made a proposal to participate. Okay? You don't, just because you were sitting there and they didn't tell you, big deal. They have no obligation to tell you anything. The only obligation they have is to get your permission to dig. They don't even have to let you participate. You're talking about participation as if it is a right. It is not a right. When they say you could have participated, what they're saying is possibly they would have let you, but now it's too late because they have all the participants they want. Big deal. Participation is always at the operator's option. They don't have to take on partners if they don't want to. And frankly, David, you're over-exaggerating the benefit of participation. You truly are. The working interest in a well, did you know you're also going to have the downside if the thing goes bust and you owe money? Or if it does damage? I mean, you really don't... I don't know if you understand the full nature of what you're saying. I do have oil and gas, and I own thousands and thousands of acres all over the country, thousands of acres. And I'm telling you that you don't want anything to do with participation because it's not all roses. But to make a long story short, since it was never guaranteed to begin with, I don't see that you could ever make the argument that you lost an opportunity, because they don't necessarily have to let you participate. If somebody is coming to your land and they say we want to buy a lease, plus we'll give you a royalty stream, and you say I want to participate, they can say no. Then you can always say, okay, I don't want to lease to you. Of course you could, but most people are satisfied with leasing. So I just think that you were a little confused on your rights and what you lost. I don't believe you lost anything.
Well, I appreciate that information. That helps a lot.
But anyway, I would go and at least find out what the nature of your ownership is. I really would, just so you know. But believe me, no yield under one well or two wells under your property will make a lot of money. And I'm talking about you might literally make 30 or 40 bucks a month. I mean, we're talking about by the time they break it all down, one well underneath your property just for that lease is not going to pay a lot of money. In fact, sometimes it pays way less than what I just told you. We have a question for David Salisbury coming up, but I got to tell you right now about something very important, something on my mind that I want to share with my listeners about addiction. We have a premium addiction treatment center here in Denver. In fact, there are multiple locations, the Raleigh House. And the Raleigh House has established a number to address concerns of both the addicts themselves or, more likely, the people who have addicts in their life. So if you know someone who has this horrible disease, don't wait another day because nothing will change. Now, if you have to discuss with your family, fine. Then call this number. Write it down now and call it later. Or call now and just get some preliminary information. There is absolutely no obligation. They will tell you about evidence-based treatments designed to reduce substance abuse. They will help you to approach the addict in your life. They'll give you hints and tips on how to do it. They can even arrange for an intervention. They can do what you really need. Let's just put it that way. Instead of denial, they will help you take action. They can explain the costs, the treatment, all the insurance aspects of it. Call today with no obligation, 720-893-5559, 720-893-5559. That is a very important number. The Raleigh House, 720-893-5559.
This report is brought to you by Indeed.com.
There's a couple of slow spots in the metro area. Drive on the south end of town. Look out for slow speeds on eastbound C470. Stop and go there between University and Colorado, so watch out for delays on that stretch. Southbound 225 heavy on the approach to I-25. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Westbound I-70 approaching Havana. Something causing people to back up on that stretch. Backups to Chambers at this time along that section. The weather forecast. Sunny and beautiful later on today with a high near 78. Tonight, mostly clear skies and a low 45. Tomorrow, sunny, beautiful, just like today, a high of 75. Right now, just a few clouds and 70. With your traffic and weather, I'm Pete Wagner, 630 KHOW.
Are you hiring? Join over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. You can post a job in minutes and manage your candidates from an easy-to-use dashboard. Post your next job on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
Hey, it's Ross Kaminsky, and I am really happy to be joined by Larry, another truly satisfied, grateful client of Advanced Tax Solutions. Tell us a little of your story, if you would.
Well, we own a company, and we kind of got behind in some of our tax filings and stuff, but we had one major overriding issue. The IRS was telling us that we owed a bunch of money for a situation that we didn't really understand real well, and then they got more and more aggressive and actually assigned a
You got dogs, cats?
Dogs. We
One
used to
dog.
have dogs and cats. One time we had 3 dogs and 2 cats.
Yeah, we got 2 and 2.
Yeah.
I got a friend that got it's a ginormous cat, man. It's called a Mancoon.
Yes, I had one.
Yeah.
You know I had one, right? My big gray cat was the Maine Coon.
I don't remember that.
They're the most beautiful cats. Big, giant, beautiful cat. Maine
huge.
Coon. You have one?
No, well, not our neighbor.
Mine was this big.
That's
and
what this is.
Most beautiful, loving, big, fluffy gray one with a mane.
They got them. They just had it cut. I hadn't seen it for a while, and they shaved it except for the head and the tail, so it looks like a lion.
I'm Tom Martino with David Salisbury. Frank's got a question for David, attorney at law. Go ahead, Frank.
How really difficult is it to get through probate? I've heard pro and cons.
To get through what?
Probate.
It depends on the estate, right, David?
Yeah, but we have informal probate in the state, which means if there's no contest or problems, you fill out a bunch of forms, you get the original will, you file them with the court, they generally accept them, and then they issue a document that says, I'm the personal representative, and that's basically it. You have to pay a fee to the court. Sometimes people can try to do them themselves, in which you save the money that you'd pay a lawyer, but it's generally not that expensive to use a lawyer either. Does that answer it?
Well, when does it become really necessary, would you say, then, to have a trust attached to your will?
Well, you know, if you want to have everything there so that you do avoid probate, so that if something happens, everything's in the trust, somebody can step in and take care of it, and when you die, there's no delay, there's nothing that needs to be done, it's seamless. Everything was in the trust before you died, everything's there after you die.
Right. Generally speaking, I don't know, off the cuff, what would a trust run to set up?
Well, a revocable trust generally runs anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000.
1 to 2, okay. All right, and you still say it's not a major problem, though, to get through probate. I heard it can take 6 to 8, 9 months, though.
Oh, well, I mean, depending on what needs to be done, income taxes or tax returns, all kinds of things, then it actually could go up to a year, but generally it's about 6 months or so.
All right, so it's 6 to 1 it really is a necessary for the trust, then, I gather, huh?
Well, it's the trust isn't for everybody. It has to do with the makeup of the kind of assets you have.
Yeah, and it's it actually stems death. It stays in force through death. So whatever's in the trust is still in the trust.
And you can continue it on for the next generation if that's what you want to do after you die. Just stays in trust.
And the trust belongs to you. You control it, right?
Yeah, you control everything.
And with an irrevocable trust, do you still own everything and control everything?
No, it's all owned by the trust. You can never change the document, and generally you are not the trustee.
So you could literally, I mean not literally, you could actually do this thing and find out, well, I guess it is literally, you can make big mistakes with it.
Oh, you can make real big mistakes.
And never be able to get it back, right?
That's right.
Okay. Bob, welcome. What's happening, Bob?
Hey, Tom.
Hey,
how you doing?
Good.
I bought some ripe delinquent treasury deeds.
Okay.
Okay, from a third party. The original purchaser passed away. The guy was selling them. I bought them in December of 2016. I went to the county in January of 2017 to the treasurer to get them put my name, and she said, no, I needed to record them. And I said, don't, I just need to get them put my name. But then, long story short, I went to the clerk and got them recorded. And then in June, I went to find out why I wasn't getting a tax certificate as far as paying for the next year. And the individual sold one of them in May, and the person had already filed for a treasury deed. So they got two of them going for one. But don't I have first right of refusal?
Okay, no, there's no right of refusal. Here it is. If you pay the taxes on a property, that has to age 3 full years.
Correct. They did.
Okay, then you apply for a treasury's deed after that.
Well, I was waiting to apply for a treasury deed rather than just trading dollar for dollar. I was going to wait 6 months.
Well, hold on. But if somebody else ages before you, then they get it. I can answer this more tomorrow, Suzanne, if you want to bring him back. Thank you, everyone. Referralist.com. Save all your problems for me.
Treat yourself to the Fresh Way to Buffet, the Farmer's Pick Buffet at Isle Casino Hotel Blackhawk.
Say hello to your lady for me.
Oh, I will.
Please.
She always asks about you.
Yeah, please say hello. I love her.
Later, Gator.
Jimmy, nice seeing you.
You too, man.
See you, Rob.
See you.
Eric? What's Eric?
Yeah, we were just fucking around.
I just posted this Facebook thing.
What is it?
On Stem Cell Institute. So I don't have to talk about it here.
I'm sure they'll love you.
Okay. Do we know what tomorrow is?
Wednesday, I have no idea what we're doing tomorrow. No freaking clue.
I have too much. My goddamn inbox is just dangerous. I have so much shit. Does it grow on you, Mark?
Yeah, I go through it constantly.
Constantly.
Okay. I'm going to start. 3, 2. Okay. House cleaning, carpet cleaning, and house cleaning, carpet cleaning, the chemicals, the non-chemicals, everything in between on the Troubleshooter Show tomorrow at 10. House cleaning, carpet cleaning, chemicals, non-chemicals, and everything in between. All of that coming up on my show at 10. Okay, I'm going to go down and start working on shit.
Do they have that fucking infomercial thing today? I always forget what day.
What is Deputy Dan doing, Mark?
He's in Minnesota, just visiting. Oh, a wedding for his niece, I'm going to say.
God, his son is a fuck up, isn't he, with all the stuff he gets done? The poor, you know, with his friend and loaning money. So
I can't believe he co-signed on that car. Kids are so fucking stupid, man.
Yeah, you wait when girls start doing it for their boyfriends. That's the big thing. I'm glad your daughter is smarter than that. If they get guys talking them into shit, Mark.
Co-sign on this for me.